Mhm. Recording and call the meeting to order of United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council Governing Board. And my name is Laura Myers and I am president. And Teresa, could you read the roll, please?
Yes. John Arnold.
Oh, yeah, and board members, could you unmute, please?
Oh, yes, sorry. Thank you, Laura. Can everybody unmute? John, please unmute.
I thought I was unmuted. Here.
John is here. Lizzie Moro Misato.
Here.
Lizzie is here. Sarah Lacey.
Here.
Sarah is here. Nancy Cruz. Nancy is absent. Greg Jackson.
Present.
Greg is present. Chris Carlson.
Here.
Chris is here. Michael Kimbrough.
Present.
Michael is present. Teresa Masonette is here. Dennis Lesky.
Here.
Dennis is here. Paula Southern.
Here.
Paula is here. Laura Myers.
Here.
Laura is here. Carlos Carrick.
Present.
Carlos is present. Paul King.
Here.
Paul is here. Charlie Papp. Charlie is absent. Tyler Fife. Tyler is absent. Yeah, I
Yes,
know.
he's excused absence.
Okay. Raheem Dawson.
I'm here.
Raheem is here. Dolores Spears.
Present.
Dolores is present. Dorit Dollar Guerrero.
Here.
Dorit is here. Jasmine Johnson. Jasmine is absent. We have quorum.
Thank you. So I would like to draw everyone's attention as I'm going to bring up the screen, because that would be hard to draw your attention to if I didn't, sorry, to item number 2. This is not a discussion item, but the determination to continue to hold meetings virtually. The Board of Neighborhood Commissioners and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, with guidance from the LA City Attorney, have established that the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners has the authority to adopt findings and continue to hold virtual meetings. This will happen every 30 days until such time as the COVID state of emergency is deemed over. We also have a note on this that AB 361 does define more clearly how neighborhood councils and other legislative bodies should prepare their agendas to provide for public access. And they mentioned they're concerned about timing of agendas to make it so that the public has good knowledge about when to attend. On the other hand, UNNC's own standing rules anticipate 5 minutes for presentations and 5 minutes for questions and answers on most items so that we can actually get through our agendas. So we have a sort of a bit of a conflict, but we have decided to continue to have timed agendas and make sure, however, that any time that has elapsed is enough time for the public to participate in our meetings. So just drawing your attention to these notes. So item 3 is the approval of the agenda. And I'm going to scroll through it quickly. I think most of you have the agenda, but we have public comments. Then we have an item to appoint 2 Area 1 residential representatives to fill 2 vacant board seats. We have government agency reports, comments, and you see we listed several categories. We have a branding presentation and logo presentation from our communications committee. President's report, and many of you are probably here for item 9A, report about redistricting and a proposed action to take, and also a report and update regarding Council File 21-1203, and designating a UNNC representative to receive the election records. We have 2 items. 10B, there was not tabled, but rather continued at the Planning and Zoning Committee. I'm not aware if we do or do not have anyone here to talk about that item, but we will not be taking an action and may well table it if there's no one here, at that time, if no one is here to talk about it. And we have a community impact statement proposed on the citywide electric vehicle master plan from our environmental committee. Committee updates, under executive committee, approve an inventory report. We have a board member training report, and then quite a few items on the treasurer's report, but much of this is administrative. So don't panic, because there's a lot of things, but much of it is administrative. And last but not least, approval of the meeting minutes from October, both the primary meeting on October 7 and the special meeting on October 26. Okay, so that is the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and on this one, we can do a, I think we can vote by show of hands, virtual or hold your hand up in the air. Is that correct, Teresa?
You have to take off share.
Okay, I will stop the share because I can't do anything with the share on. Okay, I'm raising my hand.
Dolores? Okay.
Okay, well, it appears as if the motion would pass, but are there any objections? Everybody take their hands down, myself included. And if anyone has an objection who's a board member, please raise your hand.
Greg, Carlos, your hands are still up.
Yeah, I'm getting to it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Meeting protocols, has Nancy arrived? Well, then I'll just go through them very briefly. Noting that the Bonk's resolution on civility is in our agenda packet. So the first point is we are civil to each other. We are very good behavior, and the board members are required to take a code of conduct training, but we ask that the participants also follow the same code of conduct. And please, at this point, mute yourselves again, and then you have the power to unmute when you're called upon, but please don't just speak out. Please raise your hand and request to speak. For the chat, we've left it open, but if you have a comment to make on an item, please do not make it in the chat. Please rather raise your hand. We will call on you and make a comment. The chat is meant so that you can, if you're having trouble raising your hand and you wish to speak, you can send that message in the chat. We will use the chat to post motions, and that's pretty much the limit. It's not for chatting with each other, if you don't mind. And last but not least, we already mentioned this, we do request that we try to stick to our standing rules. There are some items on this agenda that are either pre-noted for a longer period of time, such as the branding presentation. And we know there's a few items on this agenda that will be more than a 5-minute presentation and 5 minutes of discussion. But by and large, we're trying to get through this agenda as quickly as we can. So that also means if somebody has said what you want to say, you can raise your hand and say, I agree, and not take a full 1 minute or 2 minutes on as well. Thank you. Item 5, public comments and announcements. 1 minute per person. Please raise your hands, and I see them popping up. Heidi got her hand up first. Please
Hi,
introduce yourself.
good evening. My name's Heidi Feldstein Soto, and I had actually hoped to appear before you in person, but I am losing faith that that is going to happen in time for my campaign to run around and introduce myself to 99 neighborhood councils. So I am here in my capacity as a candidate for Los Angeles City Attorney. I don't have a good way to reduce my platform or my background into a viral hashtag of 1 minute. Suffice it to say that I'm not a professional politician. I used to say I'm not a politician, but as someone pointed out, that's clearly not true. You're running for office, Heidi. So I am running to be city attorney. I come from a long line of private practice. I'm not switching professions at the age of 63. I'm trying to be here to serve the public. I think we need a city attorney who actually wants to do this job. It's a big job. It's one of 3 citywide elected offices. It is not the district attorney. There is a part of the job that is criminal, but that's about 20% of the work. I pledge to draft ballot measures that are readable. I pledge to draft ballot summaries that accurately tell you what you're voting on. And I pledge to draft ordinances and rules and laws that we can all understand. I have specific ideas on what the city attorney, as opposed to the city council, can do to address and bring down really affect change on homelessness, on law enforcement, on all of the key issues facing our city. And I'm here to introduce myself, and hopefully as someone who's made this her home over the last 40 years, you will stay and join me in the fight to help our city heal and get better. I will put my campaign website and my personal website into the chat for anyone who might be interested. I'm very accessible, and anyone who wants to talk to me further, I'm also happy to put my cell phone into the chat. Feel free to call me or text me and we can set up a call. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Brittany, Lou.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Brittany, and I'm a neighbor and community organizer with Redeemer Community Partnership. Over the past few months, we've been hoping to just share updates about the Murphy drill site that's located on 2126 West Adams. And it's currently undergoing a plan approval process to review conditions. Last month at the governing board meeting, there was a question about the radioactive materials update, and I just wanted to address that really quickly by saying that through the public records requests we've submitted, and to the best of our knowledge from reviewing those documents, they're just radioactive isotopes that are regularly used in testing. So we're hoping to learn more, but I wanted to give that clarification. And I also wanted to share that we've learned over the summer, the Murphy drill site was also issued with a notice to comply by the South Coast Air Quality Management District to conduct a specific cause analysis in response to a confirmation of odor events after a series of complaints were called in by neighbors and residents. And then again, through another series of public records requests, we learned that E&B Natural Resources installed what's known as an aromatic diffuser system, but our concern is that this will only release chemicals to mask the odors rather than sort of targeting the root cause of the issue. And so we're hoping to keep learning and working with UNNC as this case develops, and just wanted to thank you all for your time tonight.
Thank you. Dorit.
Hello, everyone. This is Dorit. I'm on the board. This is November. Next week, next Thursday, is Veterans Day. I would like the board to take this time to honor the 2 veterans. We have at least 2 veterans on the board, and I'm terribly sorry that I don't know enough of the other board members to know who else might be a veteran. But our very own Greg Jackson and Carlos are veterans, and I think we should give them a round of applause. And if there is any other veterans in this room or on this board, love to have you, stand up right now and let us know so we can thank you for your service as well. Thank you.
Well, that would be Michael. That would be Michael.
Michael, thank you for your service.
And Sandra, are you a veteran? Sandra Pruitt.
Yay, Sandra.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you guys have a good Veterans Day. And I really have to say from the bottom of my heart, I'm very thankful and grateful for everything that you've done for this country and that your family did as well. Thank you.
Dorit, that's very sweet of you. We appreciate that so much.
Indeed, thank you.
Okay. So Dolores, you have your hand up.
Yes, a couple of announcements. To get the latest information on the COVID-19 vaccines and the boosters, you can go to vaccinatelacounty.com, and I'll put that in the chat. The last day to apply for the $1,000 for the LEAP program is November the 7th. And I'll put that email in the chat to find the nearest place to apply near you. Supervisor Holly Mitchell and partners are sponsoring a Veterans and Community Thanksgiving Wednesday, November the 17th from 10 to 1 at El Camino College, parking lot C. And I'll put the address of the college in the chat. And Supervisor Mitchell, Holly Mitchell, is also sponsoring an intern opportunities, unpaid and course credit to apply. And I'll put that email in the chat as well. Thank you.
Okay. Sandra.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Sandra Pruitt here from Jefferson Park. I have a couple of talking points real fast. I would like to suggest that we have more widespread communication at this time when it comes to our meetings, special meetings and the like. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, our meetings, and I would like it to be not for the community not to have to rely on just getting emails to find out about these meetings, because I know a lot of people in the neighborhood who were not aware of our special meeting until I put it on social media on Facebook. So if at this critical time in our CD10, if when we are having meetings, even this meeting tonight, we should have them more on all our social media networks, Nextdoor, Facebook, and the like. Also, I would like to request that we have Shauna Duggo come to our meeting, because in August, I was told that UNNC wasn't participating and wouldn't sponsor any events. But then I see, I've heard and seen that for the Ciclia event, UNNC is going to have a booth out there. I know things are fastly changing, but the overall view of what we're doing, I was also told that UNNC couldn't support, we couldn't ask for funding directly for outreach events. And if we don't have any outreach events, how do we reach out to the people in our community to let them know who we are and what we're standing for? How can they actually see us doing some work if we're not providing any of those outreach events? Those are important. So I would like to have her come to the meeting and explain more so we understand the vision. I know it's moving parts and things are changing, but yeah, we need a little more clarity on that. Also, we're starting a filming group here in Jefferson Park. The boundary for Jefferson Park in Adams is the south side of the street, where a lot of filming is done at Holman Methodist Church. And to this point, we have not been able to access those funds. They've been going to another neighborhood. So I would like to have discussion about that, to where we can stop the funds from going to the other neighborhood and come to our neighborhood rightfully, so that we can do things like a toy drive or whatever we feel Jefferson Park residents would like to do in this neighborhood. And then lastly, I'll just call him MRT. Now that, he's been suspended and we have an overseer, if she doesn't.
I'm sorry, Sandra, that's on our agenda tonight. So
oh, don't talk about it.
Thank you.
Okay, so those the three things are important to me, and I would like to, have some motion on those actions. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chris, I think this is the last public comment. Chris? Well, the last hand raised anyway. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes, I was having trouble getting my hand down. Sorry, it was holdover from the Veterans Celebration.
Okay. All right, so you don't have a public comment?
No.
Okay. So that is the last public comment. We will move on. Thank you. So the next item is appoint 2 Area 1 residential representatives to fill 2 vacant board seats. So UNNC has 2 applicants for 2 vacant board seats. We have other vacancies, but these are the 2 who applied for these 2 seats. And they are both residential representatives in Area 1, which is Angeles Vista and Arlington Heights. There's 1 seat that's Group A, expires in 2025, and 1 seat to Group B that expires in 2023. So we have, again, the 2 applicants. The motion from Executive Committee is that we do recommend to the United Neighborhoods Governing Board that we appoint Lolita Justice and Grace Yu to the 2 Region 1 Governing Board open seats A and B. So both of them are here tonight, and I'm just going to do this. I hear some background noise, sorry. I'm going to do this in the order that their names appeared on the agenda. So Lolita, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves. And did everyone have a chance to read the candidate statements, or do I need to post them in the chat? I mean, not in the pet. Do I need to share the screen, or can we just hear from our candidates?
Let's
What's
just hear from the candidates.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Lolita, if you could introduce yourself.
Hello, hi, I'm Lolita Justice, and I'm delighted to be here this evening and happy to hear the great news. I live here in the local area and been involved for many years in the community. And again, I'm just delighted to be here.
Okay. And before I move on to Grace, does anyone have any questions for Lolita? But again, we have a 5-minute time frame for each. So does anyone have any questions to ask Lolita? Okay, let's move on. Grace, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, my name's Grace Yu, and I'm someone who really enjoys getting into the weeds. I guess that comes from my being an attorney and just, wanting to know what makes things happen. And I love making things happen. And I am excited that I have the opportunity to go ahead and be actively engaged at UNNC. I have been involved in the neighborhood councils, plural, more than I have with our local, but I am delighted that I will be able to join you in being much more local. So thank you and good evening.
Right, and I have a question in the chat, which is which one of you gets which seat? And if there's not pre-agreement between Lolita and Grace, then we do a virtual coin toss. I know Lolita wanted you still want the 2-year seat, Lolita, or are you vying for the 4-year?
I would really like the 2-year seat so I can become more, familiar with my responsibilities are and how the role is done well and successfully. So I don't want to overcommit myself. So the 2 years would be ideal for me.
Okay, and Grace?
I'm happy to take the other open position.
So are there questions that are not being asked by me from anyone in the room for our candidates? Raheem.
Hey, good evening to you both.
I'm sorry, Raheem, are you speaking?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We can't hear you very well, Raheem.
Is that better?
Yes.
All right. I was just to get everybody paying attention. So I just wanted to ask you both, as you've kind of looked around our neighborhood council, I'm wondering if there's any committee or committees you guys are particularly interested in joining. If not, like what areas of the things that we do are you guys most interested in getting involved in?
Okay, I guess I'll say Grace first, Lolita second, and then the next question will flip, if there is one, we'll flip the order. So Grace?
I'm available to be useful in whatever need that there is at UNNC. I really did like what your presentation looks like. The branding presentation was gorgeous, and I am not very useful there because all I can say is yes or no versus this is how we can make it better. So you probably would want me more on something technical.
And Lolita?
So I'm pretty much open to flexible with it. So again, I'm here to be open to new opportunities that are presented to me. that may be a fit. So I'm really open, no particular committee, just where I'm needed.
Okay,
And thank you, Grace.
thank you. Greg, then Dolores.
I am grateful for Ms. Lolita's comment about finding out about the different roles and moving into it slow. So I just encourage all the current members to take our new members under the wing and mentor them and show them the ropes so that it's an easy transition for them. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Early welcome aboard. And I
Greg,
was wondering
I'm
what-
just going to give you a warning. Your little dog is poking her head behind you to enter your space. Okay, Dolores.
Yes, this question is for Grace, and I asked this question at the executive committee, and but it's just kind of stayed on my mind. And I appreciate the fact that you want to step up and be on the board and to engage our community and be helpful to our community. But at the meeting, your response was that if the seat for CD10 becomes vacant, that you would resign from our board and run for that. Well, you didn't say resign, but you said that you would run for that CD10 seat. So we're looking for people that are committed to our board and want to stay till the end of their term. So how do you respond to that?
You know, I was being very honest when I said, if there is an election happening for District 10, that I would run. I am someone who has run for this seat prior to this. I am very interested in doing good for our community, that whether it's this, you know, UNNC district or District 10, I am an Angelina through and through. And I think the fact that I'm able and willing to come and join and be useful to UNNC can only help our greater community. I want to be helpful. I hope to be able to join you and serve as long as possible. And you're right, I probably will not be here till the end of 2025 because there will be an election in 2024 if there is not one sooner.
Okay. Chris has her hand up, but I would like to just say one thing at the risk of pissing people off that I'm saying something, but with the redistricting, we don't actually know where the line will be because it's been moving from Normandy to Western to Gramercy to Arlington as the boundary between CD1 and CD10. So I don't think we should try to crystal ball any of this. So that's just my opinion. And I know I hadn't raised my hand first, but that's my raised hand. Chris.
That's correct. You've not raised your hand. So Mike, I want to comment that very thing. The future is the future. Things have happened very rapidly after this last election that nobody could anticipate. So I think if people in the community want to step up and serve, even if you run, there's no a priority knowledge that you will win. So, and you don't have to resign until you actually have been successful in that election, is my understanding. So I appreciate Grace's transparency.
Yep.
I think she accidentally muted
She's
herself.
suddenly muted. But
Right.
yes, I'll just finish that. Grace, we appreciate your transparency.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, and Teresa.
Thank you. Grace, did you say that you were a commissioner on the Public Works, or was it Building and Safety?
I was Department of Transportation.
Transportation. Well, we do have a subcommittee for mobility and transportation. And I know we're trying to make some efforts forward with that. So if there was any way you could help us, if you were to be seated, if you could help us with that committee, that would be great. So
be happy to. And in fact, part of my day job where I work for St. Barnabas Senior Services is working on Aging Disability Transportation Network. So I'm already keyed into that. So I would love to be able to bring in all the different resources I have.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other, because I think we've expired our time.
Yes.
I believe we need to do two separate motions.
There wasn't a second to the motion.
Well, there wasn't a motion yet. So, but I want to ask Gibson if he's still here.
I'd like to do I'd like to do two BACs, Laura.
Okay,
here.
and then I don't need to ask Gibson. So one motion would be to nominate, I'm not making the motion, I'm just saying the motion out loud right now. One motion would be to nominate Lolita Justice to seat 2, Group B, Area 1 representative. And that, I guess, is the motion from Executive Committee. So I guess I am making that motion.
It's not.
But it would
it's not
require
It's not nominate, it's point, but
a point. So sorry. Okay, Executive Committee would recommend the appointment of Lolita Justice to fill the vacant seat 2, Group B, for Area 1 residential representative, but it would need a second from anyone not an Executive Committee member.
I second. This is Paula.
Thank you. Do we want to call that question?
If you'd like me to do the roll call, I'll begin right now.
Yes, please.
Okay. John Arnold.
yes.
John is a yes. Lizzie Moro Misato.
Yes.
Lizzie's a yes. Sarah Lacy.
Yes.
Sarah's a yes. Nancy Cruz. Has Nancy arrived? Greg Jackson.
Yes.
Greg is a yes. Chris Carlson.
Yes.
Chris is a yes. Michael Kimbrough.
Yes.
Michael's a yes. Teresa's a yes. Dennis Lesky. Dennis, you're on mute.
Yes.
Dennis is a yes. Paula Southern.
Yes.
Paula's a yes. Laura Myers.
Yes.
Laura's a yes. Carlos Carrick.
Yes.
Carlos a yes. Paul King.
Yes.
Paul's a yes. Charlie, has Charlie arrived? Taylor is absent. Raheem Dawson.
Yep.
Raheem is a yes. Dolores Spears. Dolores, you're on mute. Dorit Dowler Guerrero.
Yes.
Dorit is a yes. Dolores.
Yes.
Dolores is a yes. And Jasmine. Has Jasmine arrived?
Yes.
And Jasmine is a yes. Okay, it
Okay.
passes.
Thank you. The second motion is, again, from Executive Committee, recommend to the UNNC Governing Board that we appoint Grace Yu to seat 1, Group A, Area 1 residential representative seat. And so Laura moves.
Second.
Executive Committee moves, right, Laura?
Yes, but a person has to move. So I'm moving on behalf of Executive Committee.
I'd like to second, Lizzie.
Okay, and I'll do the roll. John Arnold.
Yes.
John is a yes. Lizzie.
Yes.
Lizzie's a yes. Sarah.
Yes.
Sarah's a yes. Nancy. Greg.
Yes.
Greg is a yes. Chris Carlson.
Yes.
Chris is a yes. Michael.
Yes.
Michael's a yes. Teresa's a yes. Dennis.
Yes.
Dennis is a yes. Paula.
Yes.
Paula's a yes. Laura.
Yes.
Laura's a yes. Carlos.
Yes.
Carlos a yes. Paul.
Yes.
Paul's a yes. Charlie. Taylor. Raheem.
Yep.
Raheem's a yes. Dolores. Dorit.
No.
Dorit's a no. Dolores. Jasmine.
Yes.
Jasmine's a yes. Dolores. Dolores is absent. And congratulations, Grace.
Yes. So now, Gibson, I really do have a question now. Obviously, neither Grace nor Lolita have had a chance to take the code of conduct. What is the policy have done for brand new, newly seated? They've been members for 30 seconds. Are they
Point
able
of
to
order,
vote?
point of order. I do not think that we should be discussing this now. They cannot vote, and if this is some legal thing, then we can save it for the next session. We've been through this before.
What Ms. Teresa said, I think they could just sit this meeting out and just watch it.
Okay.
And
Well, they
provide-
can participate
participate, but not vote.
Thank you.
and not make motions, presumably. Right. Okay. So we're moving on to item 7, government agencies, reports and comments. District 10, Council District 10 report. And Mary, I know you're, hi, Mary. If you could unmute yourself and introduce yourself and thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mary Jones. I am the Senior Deputy for Constituent Services to the 10th District. I think usually Danielle is on the call, but Danielle is not available tonight. So I'm hopping on to say good evening. And just a couple of things. Lori, I think I blasted to you the booster information on booster shots and where folks can go, all the locations that you can go and sign up. So I sent that out to all the neighborhood councils there a couple of days ago.
I'll look for it and post it in the chat.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share that. And a number of issues we're working on in your area. I know I'm working with Donald Jones and some issues, Lizzie, Teresa. So a great number of you on a number of issues, and we've had quite a bit of success this week in terms of cleaning lots, cleaning around the churches, removing graffiti. And you guys may have seen the incident and not incident, but the location in Koreatown that's in the news. We received that complaint, I think roughly in September about that location. And since that time had been working with building and safety, the city attorney, LAPD, fire department on that specific location. Was able to talk to the city attorney to see how we can get a court order to what they were working on to get that cleaned up. So luckily the property owner was, the city was able to get the property owner to give them permission just the other day to go in and clean it. So we were waiting on a court order to do it. So we are paying to have that, the 10th district is having to have that clean. I understand that they've been complaining about that for over 10 years, that location has continued to mount for quite a number of time. So, but it was not enough to just clean the location and remove all the buildup there. But we were also concerned about the mom who lives there. I understand that she's bedridden. So we were able to get APS to go out there and provide services to her, as well as get mental health to go out there and to deal with another resident there at the location. So we want to make sure that they weren't just left there, the trash was removed and they were just left there, but there were services provided there for the other residents that are in need of resources. So we work with the county to make sure that we have APS for her and mental health for him, and that the city is able to do what they need to do to clean that up. And the residents have just kind of communicated how excited they are to be able to see again. So we're going to continue to work on that. Building and safety will go out there and make sure that they are getting it clean and inspected and make sure that everything is okay until the last item has been removed. But we want to make sure that there's support in place for the folks there that need the support. And I think the residents are concerned about that. Although there was concern about all the buildup, but they certainly were concerned about the residents that live there as well. So the neighbors have communicated that they are concerned and that they want to make sure that services were provided and support was provided to the folks who live at that location. And that's what we're trying to do, working with the city services, city resources, working with the county in terms of the resources that we can bring to the table to make sure that we attempt to leave them as whole as possible. So that's what we're trying to do. And we're hoping that in the next couple of days that will all be cleaned up. Mental health will be, and APS will be there and providing the service that's necessary and needed to that location. So it's a win-win on one hand, but on the other hand, we're hoping that we can just kind of make them whole as much as possible. So that's pretty much all I have to report at this time, unless you have questions for me.
Right. Well, Lizzie has her hand up, and
Lizzie,
go ahead.
Yes. Hello, Mary.
Hi.
Thank you, first of all, for your responsiveness on behalf of the 31st Street Quality of Life Committee, the members of my block. We are struggling with several challenges that affect our quality of life, being so close to a major intersection, which is Jefferson and Western. So
right.
Thank you again.
Yes, we have that one.
Yes. And look forward to continuing working with you on other.
Yeah, and we're also working on the mayor. I met with the mayor's office yesterday on that one. So we're also working with the mayor's office, and I sent you an email telling you that I had asked this principal inspector for an update on that location and who is actually on vacation. So the mayor's staff and I met out there yesterday, and so they're going to push it from their end as well. We want to make sure that we get that cleaned up because it is absolutely, you're right, it's absolutely a mess, and it's protruding into the alley. So we want to get that cleaned up as quickly as possible.
Yes.
So we're going to push really hard on that one as well.
Thank you very much. And very quickly, my second inquiry. So recently, we had a meeting on behalf of the Slow Streets, for which I am representative. The UNNC is the sponsoring organization. And City 10 agreed at a recent meeting to have a meeting with the LA Department of Transportation, LA DOT. Any updates on that? Because we want LA DOT to prioritize higher the implementation of phase 2 permanent infrastructure on our slow streets here in Jefferson Park. And just recently, we have had an accident, a pedestrian on a 4-stop intersection at the end of our block. So I mean, this is just one of many incidents.
Right, and I don't know if you guys were on the call. I think Mink organized a meeting regarding slow streets, and I don't know if you were represented on that call.
I was on the one with Streets for All. No,
okay. So Mink pulled together a meeting regarding slow streets, and they had actually a number of neighborhood councils in different areas and districts on the call regarding slow streets. So so we agreed that we will push the department on making those the slow street program permanent, make sure we get permanent signs. They talked about the fact that you're using these A-frames signs and how dangerous that was and how temporary they were. So we're pushing for permanent signs, and I can't recall who was brought in a motion to make that a permanent program and to install permanent signage there on those streets that already are part of that pilot program. So we're pushing that forward as well. We did meet with the meeting that was organized by Mink and other neighborhood councils maybe a week and a half ago.
Yes, it's the same one we were at.
Right.
At the end of the meeting, the consensus was that City 10 would schedule a meeting with LADOT. So we're waiting on that update.
Yes, actually Kayla is the lead on that, and I'm not sure if the meeting has been scheduled yet, but yes, we did agree to schedule a meeting with DOT so we can push and make sure that all the slow streets that are in the 10th district get approved and get permanent signage there, and that program move forward. So I will follow up with Kayla, who is the lead of the transportation lead in my office.
Yes, thank you so much, Mary.
And I will have her to contact you directly.
Thank you again.
Okay, so we have two other hands, and I will point out that this item we should move along, but it's very important that we also hear from and discuss things with CD10. Teresa's next.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much, Mary, regarding 3807 through 3815 on West Adams Boulevard. The inspector's been back out here. One or two of the abandoned cars have been removed, and I know that your energy behind that was one of the reasons why it's happening. So I just want to say thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anytime.
And are you done? Okay, Sandra.
Hi, Mary. This is Sandra Port from Jefferson Park.
Hi, Sandra from Jefferson Park. How are you?
Great. We have a lot of buildings going up around here, and we have this empty space that was used by the Crenshaw line off of Arlington and Expo and Obama. And now it's an empty space. And I was wondering if it's going to be, do you know now if they're going to develop it more, or could we have a park there? Because we're getting so many buildings and a lot of traffic, but we don't have a lot of green space. So just to put that out there.
You know what? I don't know what the plan is. I would need to speak with our planning deputy, Sandra, but if you shoot me an email, please, on the exact location you're referring to. And let me find out what if there are any plans that we're aware, and let them know that you are recommending that it become open green space if that's possible. But I can't tell you off the top of my head what the plans for that location at this time.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I had also, Mary, emailed Carly to find out just a little more about what it means to have a caretaker,
okay,
for a thing, and the main thing, one of the main things is, was the office able to continue to allocate the discretionary funds? And the answer she wrote me back is yes. So the discretionary funds for small local projects sounds like we can still potentially have access to them.
Right. Carly can, as well as what we were told, Carly can sign contracts, and for funding, all of that, she has the authority to do that.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions, or may we move on? Okay, we're moving on. So we have on this agenda, the next item within this is other government officials, agencies, reports, and I'm calling on Sarah Lacey, not that she's a big time government official, but representing Cal State Dominguez Hills. Do I have the right thing? And if you could take just a couple minutes to talk about the program you have.
Sure. So this is a conversation I had with Greg, and I'm faculty at Cal State Dominguez Hills and one of my colleagues in poli-sci. So the political sci department has a class where students are expected to do internships in the community that are either with a nonprofit that has particularly political aims or local political groups. And when they found out that I was on UNNC, they asked if it would be possible to organize something where some of these students could potentially volunteer with us. So we sat down with Greg. He came up with some really great suggestions for uses we might have for interns. So one of those was potentially having interns observe some of our meetings after learning Robert's Rule of Order and Dunn's Neighborhood Council rules, and then actually write a report evaluating the effectiveness of how we run our meetings, both the governing board and maybe some of the committees. Potentially have them observe and work with Greg as treasurer to see how the UNNC budget is used, and then write like an independent report assessing whether they think the use of the budget is in line with the mission statement for UNNC. And then the third idea was explore our community outreach strategy and come up with better ideas for community engagement, which actually something Sandra mentioned earlier, and maybe even having them not only assess that, but maybe help execute some of that as well. And if we could identify some students that live in the area, potentially, they'd want to continue to be involved. But before we started designing this and assigning them roles and things like that, we wanted to come to you guys and get that approved first.
Okay, so does anybody have comments or questions? Greg does for Sarah. Greg.
Thank you, sir. So when we talked about this is a golden opportunity for our team to receive assistance. As I understand it, Sarah, each of the interns has to do 15 hours. And the way that we have used interns in the past in other areas, it's free labor. So that's one benefit to us. But it's also a learning process of where we could mentor these young people in an area of politics that is extremely local, where they can say, like Sandra mentioned, advertising, getting the word out, maybe working with our communication committee about, they know the tech stuff. Raheem and that group knows the tech stuff, so maybe that group can help us increase our outreach to our community. But for this to work, we would have to say, I'm willing to take on an intern or two, sponsor them and work with them and meet with them and provide them feedback and provide them assignments. So our task on this is to say, yes, we like the idea as a whole, but more specifically say, I'm willing to take on an intern or two in my area of service or on the committees that we're working on. Thank you so much.
Okay, Dorit.
Would one of the interns be able to say they're interested in chair one of our committees, like the CIS committee that no one's doing right now, or one of the other committees that may be dormant right now?
No, that's not.
They
That's
couldn't do
above
that?
their pay
Okay.
grade. That's above their pay grade.
Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome.
Gabby.
Hi, yeah. Well, I would have to consult with our communications team, but we would like an intern. That would be really awesome if they can help us, rethink social media in terms of politics. So,
Two.
No,
Yeah.
no consultation necessary. Let's do it.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
And let me emphasize, so this is be per semester. So there's some that actually they want to hit the ground running. Like if we approve it today, you probably get an email later this week. But also then the class happens every semester. So we would get new ones in the spring.
Right. So raising my own hand, Sarah, we did work with interns for a while through USC's engineering school. And they have a program called engineering writing, which isn't neither engineering nor writing, but it's just a program called that. And they place the kids in teams, and the teams are assigned to different projects. So we had 3 teams at one point working on Benny Potter Park, and it's the result of their efforts that we have the basketball court with lighting and the universally accessible gym, the playground and the exercise equipment. Those were different projects all through the same program. So, one of the things, again, I don't know exactly where the poli-sci intersects versus engineering, because that one, they were designing things. But, one of the things, another year we did traffic calming projects, none of which were implemented, just to be clear. But it was an interest, right? But it was, we put them in teams, and then different people on the board supervise the team. So that's another way to look at it. And Lizzie has her hand up.
Yes, couple of observations. So for the dormant committees, we have 2 brand new board members. So that's something to consider. And also my question on the interns, which I think is a wonderful idea. Do they need to be residents within the UNNC footprint? And if so, members could be as young as, I believe, 14 or 17 years old. So maybe board members in the making. Thank you.
Well, I couldn't guarantee they're in the footprint. We are part of the service area for the Dominguez Hills campus. And I know that students live, because I see CSUDH graduate sign in people's yards, but I couldn't guarantee that they live in our service area.
So Sarah, I'm wondering, since, should we think about it, it's not an action item here. So should we bring you to executive committee and then try and do appoint an ad hoc committees starting, at our next governing board. That's not on the agenda. So we can figure out how to do this. I mean, that's sort of the key question. So I think this semester, if the communications committee has an immediate spot, or the outreach committee has an immediate spot, because they're not the same, but they overlap so much, I think we could go forward if you have students with an immediate spot. But I'd love to have a more organized methodology for teaching, because I think an internship is also about teaching, right?
I recommend we do that. Why don't we just bring it back to executive? It's 7:55. The
Right.
presentation was supposed to start at 7:30. And I don't know if you're still here, Gibson, but this is a perfect example why we have to have times on our agenda. We cannot operate without times. So do we need a motion for that, Laura, or?
No, we can just send it to exec.
Okay, and you're good with that, right, Sierra? Okay, great, thank you.
Fine, thank you.
Okay, and Gibson, do you have a done report for us? Or
I do. I think I wanted to touch base. I know it was on the agenda, but I have been doing my rounds about AB 361. I see that you said that you stated that this board is going to keep the timestamps. One thing we've been recommending to all our NCs is removing the timestamp, so you make sure you're not restricted by it, right? Because if you are running, let's say, ahead of time, and the public comment is dictated from 7:20 to, let's say, 7:15 to 7:45, you cannot move to the next agenda item until that time expires. That's one of the requirements of AB 361 that we as a department have come out and asked that that our NCs remove the time slots. Just, it's better. I mean, it's easier in most situations, just to make sure that the agenda moves smoothly without sort of the interruptions in regards to that. Also, one thing that AB 361 indicates is if there's a disruption or an interruption during the virtual meeting where the member or the public is unable to participate or observe the meeting, then this becomes an issue. And if they're not able to jump into it, we are one thing in accordance with AB 361, recess needs to be taken immediately, just to make sure we address that. Right. If it's an individual member of the public is having trouble participating, the board doesn't have to take recess. The board would still continue out and it's sort of moving out in the meetings. As you mentioned, there's definitely one or two changes on the agenda, but the way we've been able to do the agendas currently is the way AB 361 is mandating, the way we put the Zoom ID, the link. That is okay. I think we were ahead of the game on that one. And just kind of, you already touched base on the Board of Commissioners will be doing this assessment every month, every 30 days in accordance with AB 361. And we're still remaining virtual until the end of the year. So if once Bonk takes action, then we'll be able to, if there are going to be any changes in regards to meeting physically or physical meetings, and if how that looks like, we'll make sure we provide guidelines, because that's still at the moment right now, City Hall is still not open for public meetings. Just want to touch base on the ABLE training, as everybody is aware. The anti-bias training is required for all board members to be taken by November 30th. So if you want to see if you've completed, it will be posted right next to the code of conduct. It'll be updated in the course of this week. So we are asking all our board members to make sure that they complete that training. We have one more code of conduct session as we are wrapping up the workshops that we've been having on code of conduct. We are asking folks to participate. It's going to be on November 6th. So if you are interested in providing input, it's this Saturday, November 6th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And I'll make sure I send out a link so if folks want to participate on that one. The Board of Neighborhood Commissioners closed out the draft social media policy. As you know, they had done a small extension. It's something that we've been working on the course of the year. So I do believe that by end of this year, this policy will be voted in, and there's a possibility or likelihood that once it's voted in, we'll be able to provide department guidelines as to how neighborhood councils will be functioning, especially during times of social media, how it applies to neighborhood council board members. I think it provides a clear distinction, which is why this discussion for the social media policy has taken the whole such a period of time. Also, we are asking all our Angelinos to do the neighborhood council awareness and engagement survey. As you know, we sent out a survey. It's something that we've been working on. It's a survey that went out to everybody. The title of the emails, I hope we didn't go to people's spam accounts, because it's called City of LA Neighborhood Council Awareness and Engagement Survey. It's open to residents and neighborhood council board members. We are trying to sort of build out a good, we want to use surveys to understand how the level of engagement for stakeholders. How do people know the neighborhood council system? How do your neighbors know it? As mentioned today, the agenda being posted as to how do folks know what's happening within the neighborhood council system. I think this was a stakeholder, Miss Sandra had mentioned it, right? So we want to get better at that. We want to figure out what's the best way of leveraging, which tools we need to leverage in an effort to increase awareness for the neighborhood council system. Also, we are going to be having an election workshop. So the Office of the City Clerk's Neighborhood Council Elections Work Group division, the election division is forming a neighborhood council election work group to identify and find solutions and challenges that we experienced in the 2021 neighborhood council elections. As you know, the work group will be happening, will start from January all the way to April in 2022. And those are my announcements.
Okay, I have a couple of hands raised. Teresa?
Thank you. Gibson.
Yes.
When we have our public comment, we will keep that open. If it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever the allotted time, we will keep it open until that time has exceeded. But we, the executive committee, voted to keep our agenda items with times. Your recommendation was best practices, and we're going to continue to do that. It is the only way. And as you can see, we're not even successful doing that, but it is our guideline to help us manage our meetings. So we voted, and we're going to continue to put times on our agenda. Thank you.
Okay. Just wanted to give our department talking point is standard across the board. So it's something we're offering a standardized approach. So if you feel this is the best way, Ms. Teresa, I'm okay with. I have no objection. Right? I won't give input on it. I think if it works, I'm not trying to fix it. There's nothing to fix here. Just me trying to be a team player.
Dolores, and then Lizzie. And then unless anybody else has any comments, I'd like to move to the next item, please. Lizzie, I mean, sorry, Dolores, then Lizzie. Dolores, you're muted.
This is for Gibson. That survey
Yes,
that you were speaking of, someone from the city called me about that, and I checked my spam, my deleted messages, old and new, and I did not get that email. So I called the lady back and left her a message to resend it because I would complete the survey, but I never got it, and I haven't heard back from her.
So we have two surveys that are out. First one is for the neighborhood council system. I'll send it to the board right now. One is called for the neighborhood council boards within the neighborhood council system. It's called the LA Empower LA Listening Survey. This is geared towards board members. And then the other one is the neighborhood council awareness and engagement survey. So we are trying to push, we're doing this one last push, and I'll send it to you and the whole board right now.
Okay, and then the second issue is for Laura, since Gibson brought up the training. Are you going to notify Kyle that we have 2 new board members so they can get logged into Cornerstone? Or
I certainly am. Well, who are you asking, Gibson or Laura?
Either one.
I usually wait for Laura to send me the Excel. It's a team effort. We'll get it done.
Yeah, I update the Excel spreadsheet. I'll do it tonight and send it to Gibson and Kyle.
Okay, and to the 2 new board members, welcome aboard.
Yes, and the 2, great to have you on board. Please feel free to reach out. Again, my name is Gibson Nyambura. I am your neighborhood empowerment advocate. So if you have any questions or emails, it's I'm getting better now, gibson.nyambura@lac.org. And I'll put my contact info on the chat. So if you want to call me, if you have any questions about the neighborhood council process, by all means, feel free. I try to be a tool and a resource to all my neighborhood councils.
Thank you. And was it Lizzie? I've lost track. Lizzie, were you the other upraised hand?
Yes, I lowered my hand. I will send a separate email for the sake of time.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Later.
Okay.
I
So
posted
then we.
in the chat.
Okay, perfect. Next up, late as always, but next up, Raheem. Communications Committee, branding, logo presentation. And Mickey. Mickey, do you need to be a host?
Yeah, he does.
Okay,
He's wearing his hosting hat tonight, so.
got it.
He's the host. Hi, everybody. Good evening. We're really excited to be presenting this presentation to the board and to everybody here tonight. As soon as we get it up, we'll get going. Everybody can just take a moment to take a deep breath. Here we go. All right. Are you going full screen?
Sorry, it's taking a second.
Okay.
Okay.
We've got all night.
We've got
Well, you deserve all night. This has been put off meeting after meeting after meeting. But what you got is 35 minutes if we can do that.
We can do it.
We can do it. So I'm just going to give just some brief opening remarks, just to kind of give just to set the table for what everybody can expect to see. So first thing, while we're giving this presentation publicly, the presentation in its current form isn't something we would ever provide for public consumption. If approved, we'll certainly parse content from this presentation to share, and maybe even make a shorter version of the presentation that makes more sense for the public. The other thing about this presentation is we got feedback, and just want to thank everybody for the feedback on the early draft of the presentation that we presented at a communications committee meeting a long time ago. That discussion really made us go back to the drawing board and focus on what mattered. Some of the feedback you'll see directly implemented in this version of the presentation. And if there's things in the presentation that remain unchanged in spite of your feedback, please know that at the very least, we likely mulled over that feedback before moving forward. We had lots of conversations about all the feedback we got. And again, thank you everybody for that feedback. Our assignment here was to listen, and you'll hear more about how we did that, but just know that what we're presenting to you is all a reflection of the things that we heard from past and present board members and our stakeholders. So thank you all for that insight. I think we're at a unique time right now with a relatively new board where this process really makes sense. I really believe that this process of defining and redefining the brand of a neighborhood council is something that should happen with each new and incoming board. Neighborhoods change, priorities shift, and it's important that a neighborhood council gives itself the opportunity to evolve as well. This is the first time the definition of UNNC's brand is being talked about so comprehensively by its board, but it certainly shouldn't be the last. Now some quick thank yous to Laura. She provided some of the photos you'll see in the presentation tonight, and to the creative team that took this project on. Our photographer Josh took the rest of the amazing photos you'll see. Co-chair Gabby kept us on task, and newest member Dennis, who has fallen in with us and become an invaluable member of the team, of the creative team. And lastly, but not least, our graphic designer, who's more than a graphic designer, Michael. He's lent us his professional expertise in branding, and his handiwork is the nuts and bolts of this entire presentation. If this branding presentation was a bus, he'd certainly be the bus driver. So without further ado, bus driver Michael, take it away.
Oh my goodness. That's why I have this hat on, because I'm a driver. No, I think that was a great setup. Thank you, Raheem, for that. So I think just a sort of a bit of a quick origin on where we started and kind of why we started beyond all of the great reasons that Raheem shared. And I think the sort of inciting incident was that we were making things sort of disparately, right? We were answering the calls of the needs of like the election or a communication on a social media post. And we kind of came together and said, we really need to understand the story of UNNC and something that'll serve as sort of a guidepost to create from. And so the presentation that we created is essentially broken down into 3 sections. The first is our approach and how we kind of went about understanding the story of UNNC, that being, you'll see a couple of interviews that we did. We spoke to different stakeholders. And then it's really communicating that story of our findings in a way that I think is relatively concise and through the words of our own members. From there, we distill those words into brand pillars, a brand statement, and ultimately a direction that we think serves as the visual language for what the brand will be. Again, this is all a precursor, and what we see this as is an evolving conversation. But hopefully we've moved further in the right direction based on certain things that you've seen in the past. So our approach, as we mentioned, was interviews with current and past board members, 22 to be exact. We had discussions with committee chairs. We had conversations with stakeholders and business owners. And we did a bunch of internal reviews ourselves before we kind of ever embarked on this process. And what we found, and we've distilled some of our findings into three main categories. And the first one is about kind of what's most important. What are the ingredients that we need to put into the brand? And first was our position in between people and policy. We need to show that we engage with local government. The second and third, and they were not too different in terms of the amount of votes we received from them, but they were the neighborhood history. So communicating the various neighborhoods that make up UNNC, communicating that history. Oh, sorry, getting a little feedback. And then neighborhood outreach, which I think, I believe it was Sandra who mentioned this before, and you'll kind of see it touched upon later, but doing things that really engage people and bring them together. So that's something that we needed to bring into the brand. And some of this is aspirational and some of this is already in existence. It's just kind of playing it back, maybe in a little bit different of a way than we've heard it before. So what we also found was that 50% of our survey participants believe that the current UNNC brand does not convey the character, values, or purpose of the organization. So that means that we're kind of missing out on the opportunity to really convey who we are and what we do. And then lastly, more than 75% of the participants, and this is related to specifically the visual language and the logo in particular, 75% of survey participants believe that people living within UNNC neighborhoods would not recognize the UNNC brand. So again, this goes back to how do we get out who we are and what we do to people if they don't know us? So we're sort of raising these problems and also seeing the potential at the same time. And so this is what we concluded. Again, you're going to see some quotes layered in. I probably won't read those. Maybe I'll touch on a few if we want to, but feel free to read as we go along. So we are an organization that's about where we've been. We're concerned about our past because it makes up who we are. We're also an organization about where we're going, right? And this is from a quote from Lizzie: "We can help each other improve our lives for the better." And these are local places that are seen in a variety of neighborhoods. We're made of diverse people and places. So we nod to some of the architecture, to some of the businesses here, some of the religious institutions we have. And fundamentally, we're an organization that's connected by compassion. So we thought this was great from former board member Tori Daly. She said, it's all about compassion, showing concern for our neighbors. Again, we were trying to distill the most important pieces of who we are. And lastly, we think we're an organization that can exemplify ourselves by showing empathy. So this was a great quote by Greg Jackson. "We must be translator of policy, an organization that scaffolds policy." So we're in between people and policy. And lastly, we're better together. Again, Greg gave us a lot of great quotes, so thank you, Greg. But it's not about closing out an agenda item. It's about opening a relationship, a chance for connection. Some of the people that make up our neighborhoods. And this is what we've learned from distilling these interviews and taking all of this data that we've collected. We know that the brand must be authoritative but approachable, sort of representing that unique balance between people and policy. We know the brand must speak the language of all, and we believe inherently that's listening. So dialoguing with diverse stakeholders takes an empathetic ear. The brand must be bold and captivating to capture the attention and engagement of its stakeholders. To increase that engagement, we must make a statement. We believe the brand must be inclusive and empathetic, right? Inclusion was a word that we heard in every interview that we did. And lastly, the brand must be lived. Again, calling out Sandra before, but we really feel that there's a great opportunity for us to not just showcase something that's beautiful, but also live in a way that represents our values. So now we're moving a step later and a step further. And these are really guideposts to create a visual language for the brand. So I won't read off every definition, but I'll just start with, again, tying back to how do we make a statement about ourselves so that people can remember us, people can assign a visual language to our values. And so we feel like being bold is important, right? Captivating visuals, memorable graphics, and exciting content throughout. And that's something that we wish to do to bolster engagement. We also feel it's important to represent a sense of unification, to be a source of empowerment for our stakeholders. And we feel like the last two are really tied together. Again, that articulating how we live the brand, right? So hands-on and empathetic. So this is our conceptual direction. Again, as Raheem said, this would never be sort of external facing. I'm just keeping an eye on time, so I'm going to try to wrap in the next 5 minutes and then we can open it up to conversation. But so this direction is really giving us a framework by which we can understand UNNC, who it is, its values. So our direction is called the moments that make us. In this concept, we're utilizing graphic elements of unity, simplicity to communicate UNNC as a model neighbor, fostering connection between people and policy. Through bold color, a graphic logo, and humanistic photography, we celebrate the moments of past and present that guide us forward.
Oh my God.
Michael.
I don't know if that was a good oh my God or not.
It was a good. Oh my God.
Okay,
It
okay.
it was good. Yeah.
No, I like it. It's good.
It's inspiring.
Okay. So we have a mix of photography here, some that was provided to us by Laura, and there was some that our own photographer took. And each of them really is, each image is really giving a sense of the sort of visual tapestry of all of our neighborhoods. And every one of them, even in the instances where there isn't somebody in the photo, we want it to give a sense that there was somebody there, or there may be somebody about to do something, or something, some excitement is around the corner. We're trying to evoke emotion. So for example, the hands pressed onto the cement, that's something that just makes us automatically think of a child. We have this child running through a sprinkler, which is so fun, or these skates, or a ribbon tied around the tree, something memorializing something. So that's sort of our photographic mood board, things that we would like to incorporate into the photography, as on our multiple platforms of our website, social media accounts, what have you. And then this is more of a graphic inspiration, right? So we want to use something that's simple, bold, colorful, that kind of brings us in and kind of draws our eye. And we'd also like to incorporate, and which we have been incorporating already, some illustrations. This is, again, the idea is to be graphic, but simplistic at the same time. So our color palette, and again, just checking time real quick. Okay, our color palette really started with the orange that we currently have. And we wanted to evolve that to something like a little bit more energetic, but still within the same wheelhouse of something that people would be familiar with. We balance that with a complementary color of a cobalt blue, which is sort of equally as strong and exciting. And then the two balancing colors are really meant to ground it a little bit more, which I think the green was doing previously. Though, as we heard in some of the interviews that we had, it was throwing people off a little bit, especially with the tree. I think people were thinking of it more like a environmental organization. So we feel like this is really balancing, it's humanistic, and hopefully is still sort of like an evolution of what we had previously. We've presented this logo before, and we're also showing it in a different way. And what I like about this new iteration to the left is there's an assembly happening here that I think is interesting. And it looks like kind of evocative of how our regions are kind of forged together to create UNNC. And also we were looking to circumvent some of the comments that we heard previously about some of the letters looking like other things that people had seen, other brands that people had seen before. I do still think it's effective in its kind of straightforwardness. And it's very graphic, symbolic, that I think would serve us well. We also did an alternate. This one kind of reminded us of the roadways. If you can almost like see like a street grid. I think it's not quite as effective, but I think it's still in the same vein, and it's symbolic and graphic, that it would do well to help us to help stakeholders remember it. So that's our presentation. I think we can open it up to questions now, and I'm happy to go back to any slides if anybody has any questions, and we can talk more about it.
Yep. And I'll start in the words of Michael Kimbrough. Oh my God. Great job, Michael. Thank you so much for that. So what we'd like to do now is, like Michael said, have a conversation about what we saw. We do have two options of logos that we presented. So what we're going to try to do in the course of this conversation is kind of ascertain, hopefully, if there is like a strong preference for one over the other, that logo option A or B will be kind of what we include in the motion to approve. But again, just to kind of wrap this all up, a brand is more than just a logo. A logo is a piece of brand for sure. But the motion will be to for UNNC to use this branding presentation as kind of like a basis for any forward-facing communications, to kind of use this as our Bible of sorts for any public-facing communications, and then the logo will be a part of that. So we'll open it up for questions. Obviously Michael's here, I'm here, Gabby's here, Josh is here, Dennis is here. We can all kind of jump in and answer questions as they come. But
so Raheem, let me propose this. If you call on hands, I will call on time, and let's give each person a minute. I mean, they may make a statement versus a question, but for those who raise their hands, you have a minute. That doesn't mean it's a minute including the answer. But Raheem, if you'll call, then I'll do the ugly job of calling time.
Perfect.
Is that okay?
Yep, Sandra. Maybe unmute Sandra.
Okay, great job,
Hey.
great job. You guys have brought so much energy and life with these logos and these colors. It's exciting. I would see this as something that people would want to be a part of. And I hope that the new board members are as excited about this and get out there and start really pushing it, because this is awesome. Oh my God. Yes.
Wow. Thank
I
you,
did
Sandra.
that.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. Paula.
Yes, I think this is awesome as well. And like she said, energy. I was sitting here kind of, slumping down, and all of a sudden now I'm up, and I'm really for this. I like the logo where the letters look more like letters rather than just blocks, or as he said, like a road. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Lizzie. You're muted, but we see you clapping. That's enough. That's enough, Lizzie. Yeah, unmute yourself.
I am so sorry. Yes.
Good.
Thank you so much. As someone who has been allowed the opportunity to give her feedback through the different iterations of this project, I'm really, really proud of you for coming up with this hopefully final version. On the photographs, excellent, because that was a major concern of mine, that the photography probably was not faithful to our diversity. And we wanted to be as inclusive as possible. So yes, inclusion was a key word of mine. So thank you so much. As for the logos, I think I can definitely warm up to the new versions of it. I really like this one, the one on the left. So I think that's the first one, right?
Yep.
The two groups. This is the first group, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Everything
yeah,
you
the
see
one on the
screen.
left, I really like it. And I think as we open up, I'm really looking forward to all those suggestions you had on how to do the outreach, how to present the logo, the barcode. I've recently learned how to scan the barcode, so I'm really excited. So it was simple, but yes, I'm really looking forward to it as someone who is part of the outreach committee. Yes, definitely. Let's get to it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lizzie. And just so everybody's clear, what you're seeing on screen now, we can call this logo option A. This is all one family. This is all one logo here. There's different, like slightly different iterations of it there, but that's kind of like the one idea there. The other one, the roadway one, is a whole separate thing, but this is one thing you're seeing on screen now. Chris.
I agree with Paula that I think option A reads much more readily and is visually easily to option B. It's kind of one of those things, if you don't kind of know what you're looking at, it doesn't tell you right away what you're looking at. You kind of have to suss out that those aren't color blobs, that they're letters. But so I would definitely favor option A on the visuals. And I thought I thought the photos and the whole conceptual framework is very strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. John Arnold.
The one on the left with the multiple, the first thing I thought of was, oh, that's an assemblage of parts and different things. So it read beautifully, just as described. And I think that is great. And I think the whole thing is great. Feels fresh. It doesn't feel, it just feels fresh. So I'm all for it. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I don't see any other, oh, yeah, Teresa.
Thank you, Raheem. I just want to say, you guys took all of the suggestions that were presented, and I feel like you heard what we were saying and you incorporated them. And it's a beautiful, beautiful presentation. I like the graphics. I'm with everybody else. The logo on the left, I like that iteration better on this page than the former page. And I feel like it is, and I don't want to keep saying what everybody else is saying, but it does seem fresh, and it does seem like we're moving forward, but we still, I mean, this design is not new age. It does have a feeling of history. I don't know how to say it, but like, you know, an element of history to it, but it does still seem fresh. So great job.
Thank you, Teresa. Appreciate that. Dorit and then Jasmine.
Great work. Wonderful. The one on the left here, I much prefer. It just looks happier with multiple colors on each letter. The other one just makes me feel like too segregated without the multiple colors on it. But either one, I like the idea of having our name spelled out next to it. So that way it's easier to understand what it says. The one on the very bottom, don't mean to pick on it or anything, but I really couldn't tell what that is if I didn't already know. So having it spelled out next to it is much easier for someone like me. So thank you.
Absolutely. And just to reiterate, so everything you're seeing on screen now is one logo option. Depending on how we would, depending on the place where we're putting this or how we're using it, like you might see it represented in one of these 3 different ways, or we might just like only choose to show it like as you've seen on the left there. But it's one little family there. Anyway, Jasmine and then John.
Yep. I don't want to be redundant, but just definitely want to express appreciation for all the work you guys have put into this. I think this is amazing, and like Lizzie said, you know, it's been great watching the different iterations, and just wanted to appreciate the work you all put into taking feedback and just say great job, guys.
Thank you, Jasmine. John.
I had a question I forgot to ask. Are you suggesting also the fonts that we see here, both at United Neighborhood Council and the ward logos? Are those fonts that you're suggesting, or are we just looking at the logo itself?
Sorry, I didn't quite understand.
Are we going to have standard fonts for outreach, and are these the fonts that you're suggesting, or is that a different topic?
Yeah, so I think it's a different topic. So the fonts that are included in the logo and word mark, so like, for example, the United Neighborhood Council next to the assemblage one, that's a font that I'm proposing. But the word logos up top, I'm not proposing that font for us. So we would have a hierarchy that would be presented if we want to move forward with this, and it would be header, subheader, body copy, the whole thing, which we had originally in a prior presentation, but we since removed it because we weren't decided quite yet on the logo, and I feel like that's necessary in order to decide what the copy hierarchy will be.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And call in user 1. You can come off mute and ask your question, give your comment. Okay, we'll go. There you go.
Oh, this is the person calling in. Hello? Come off mute.
I think they put their hand down. So we'll go to Laura. If you do slap your question after, we can come back to you. Yeah,
Sure.
Laura.
Thank you. I'm unmuted now. Yes, I'm a stakeholder, and I understand everyone here in audience is young at heart, but neighborhood councils tend to skew to a more mature audience. In your presentation, you mentioned the quote unquote interviewing. May I ask, were your interviews and your outreach, can you say that they were done across the board so that you're getting some feedback from the quote unquote youth? Because the youth is the future, and we want to be able to entice them to become more involved in their neighborhood council. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question, and thank you for it. I think a little bit of a catch-22, right? Because we definitely interviewed, existing board members and committee chairs, so people who are already involved in the neighborhood council who might, to your point, skew to one end of the age spectrum. So we didn't necessarily go to, universities or high schools to look for younger people. We outreach to people that we get feedback from on other things. We definitely have our eye on how we can attract people who are maybe a little bit younger, and hopefully this will do that. But I can't say that we necessarily targeted a younger demographic when we were gathering feedback now, because we didn't necessarily have the means to do that.
I think maybe just to add to that too, and going back to a point you made earlier, Raheem, like the logo is one component of the entire brand. Oftentimes it will be the first touch point. But a big part of this and a big part of what we found in the interviews that we did was the way in which we engage, right? The way we lived the brand. And I think we, in an earlier version of this presentation, we had come up with several ideas which were really trying to capture a wide array of people, because I think that that's sort of how the 6 regions are, right? It's the demographics are it's widespread. And I think something that we were proposing initially were, some block parties, and there were certain ways that we would, use sidewalk chalk, things like that, where we can be maybe not so targeted, but be aware of all of the sort of demographics that make up the neighborhoods. I think that's a fundamental component to how the brand will work going forward.
Definitely. Thank you for that, Michael. Laura.
Okay, and we technically have 2 minutes left. Will we see a group of things that would include how we do our entire name? I mean, we're not going to see it tonight, but we're the United Neighborhoods of the Historic Arlington Heights, West Adams, and Jefferson Park Communities Neighborhood Council. I mean, that has to appear at least on things like our letterhead. So will we see going forward how this works with that? And I should say first, this is so fabulous. I mean, I've said this already. It's wonderful. It's fabulous. I love the Bauhaus letters. But that tells you I'm old, not that I'm young. And but I think you guys did a really good job the first round, and I think you did a really, really good job listening to what people had said to make this final iteration. But I still have my question.
Yeah, I think just like the John's question about the font, I think it was important for us to nail down which direction we were going to head first. And then I think stuff like the letterhead, great example, how does our logo look on that? And so maybe every time we have letterhead or a formal document, we have the full entirety of the name. Because I remember you bringing this up the last time too. And it's the same goes for even this like assemblage version and maybe the version without any supporting word mark. Like, when do we use those? That's not decided yet, but I think we have to be super strategic in the way we do that, because I'm sorry, I forget who mentioned it, but right now, if we were to just release the UNNC without the word mark, that it would be very confusing to people. So it's being mindful of where we place what information and when, and that's a great example. So yeah, I think things like the letterhead and more formal documents we could include, especially once we nail down those fonts.
And so we are out of time, but we have another hand left up.
No, we are not, Laura. They have their presentation was scheduled for 35 minutes. It's only been 30 minutes.
Okay.
Greg.
Thank
Yes.
you. My question is this an action item for us to select one of the two presentations, the one that's on the screen and the other one? Is that the action item for tonight?
Yeah, so what will, in the motion, I'm designating this logo option A, and we're going to attach this logo option to the motion to kind of approve the entire.
Thank you.
Yeah. If there's no other questions, the last thing I'd like to do is I'd like to have Josh and Gabby and Dennis come off mute if you can, or if you want to say anything, or just like take a bow. This was really, really, really a team effort. And so I just really feel like it's important that everybody that put blood, sweat, and tears into this be recognized. We wouldn't have this presentation in its current form without everybody's help and input. So if you guys want to come off mute and say something, or I don't know, beverage there on your.
I don't mind coming off mute and saying thank you to everyone for your feedback, and we definitely took it in to consideration, and I'm glad that you were able to see that through all of these different presentations. It's been a long road, but it's also been very fulfilling, and I also want to thank everyone who gave their comments and feedbacks, and a special thank you to Dennis. Showed me places to take more like historic photography around the city, and has been very helpful to the team. So.
Dennis, go ahead.
I enjoyed going around with Josh quite a bit. I learned quite a bit about the neighborhood I thought I knew already. And, I'm new to the council in just a couple of months. And I really got a chance to see where it was coming from with the work you've done on this project beforehand. And it was a pleasure to learn a little bit more about it and to contribute. So it's, I think as several of you said, it's a growth project. It's evolving. As the neighborhood evolves, so should this.
Thank you, Dennis. Gabby, anything? There you are.
Yeah, I'll just echo everything that's already been said. Thank you for the comments and feedback. And I really just want to, we've sort of become a little family through this process, where we were able to build really strong friendships with the neighbors. And I really, really appreciated that. And I'm very ecstatic and happy that we were able to come to consensus on the logo, because it really will inform how we move forward with our outreach and our communications efforts. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. All right, I just popped the motion into the chat. So the motion I'll make is to use the brand presentation as a guide for future public-facing communications and adopt logo option A, which you see on screen right now, for use going forward.
I'm going to second that, Dorit.
Dorit seconds, but you mean for use, not or use.
Not or, yeah. That F is important there.
And I'm writing Dorit seconds. Okay. Oh, and somebody else wrote that. So anyway, so that's the motion. That I've lost it, but the motion is to use the brand presentation I'm losing it, guys, as a guide for the future, future public-facing communications, and adopt logo option A for use going forward. Is there any other discussion? Teresa, are you ready to call the roll?
Will you take the screen down?
Yeah.
Okay. John?
Yes.
John is a yes. Lizzie? Lizzie?
Yes.
Lizzie's
Yes.
a yes. Sarah?
Yes.
Sarah's a yes. Nancy? Greg?
Yes.
Greg's a yes. Chris?
Yes.
Chris is a yes. Michael?
I love it. Yes.
Mike's a yes. Teresa's a yes. Dennis?
Yes.
Dennis is a yes. Paula?
Yes.
Paula's a yes. Laura?
Yes.
Laura's a yes. Carlos?
Yes.
Carlos a yes. Paul?
Yes.
Paul's a yes. Is Charlie?
Yes, love it.
Oh, Charlie's here. Raheem?
Yes,
Raheem,
please. Yes.
Dolores?
Yes.
Dolores is a yes. Dorit?
Great big yes.
And Jasmine?
Yes.
Okay. Yay.
Yeah. Teresa, for purposes of our BAC, you would need to add Grace Yu and Lolita Justice, but they're ineligible to vote.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
They're members of the board as of now, please.
Okay, I will do it, Laura, but Gibson was just on and we just decided that they were not going to vote. And
Correct. That is correct. They're ineligible to vote, but they count toward the quorum.
All right, I will add them. Thank you.
And thank you. Okay, moving on to item 9. It is President's Report 9A, report from the Redistricting Commission's public hearings and City Council's new initiatives relative to the City Council's adoption of a final redistricting map. And we recommend that the UNNC Governing Board ratify its previous position and comment letter regarding the city's ongoing redistricting efforts as this relates to UNNC, and adopt a further resolution and community impact statement to permit UNNC to file updated CISs and letters as the hearings continue and the redistricting map continues to evolve. This would allow UNNC to address our position at future public meetings held between tomorrow, November 5, and December 3rd, 2021. And this agenda item was created before the City Council appointed an ad hoc committee to potentially redo the final redistricting map that was presented to the City Council by what's called the City Council, Los Angeles City Council Redistricting Commission. So it turns out they will have a meeting starting, the first one is tomorrow. So I don't even know where to begin. I will begin by saying we do need to approve a new resolution and community impact statement, even if it's brief, because we learned by not doing that last month, remember we thought, oh, we have a good position from September, we don't need to do it. We were not permitted to testify as a neighborhood council at the October Redistricting Commission hearings. So we've learned we must keep updating and adopting. Dennis.
Well, I'm Harvard Heights and I feel like I'm being kidnapped with these latest motions to being moved out of CD10 over to CD1. So I've sent several things off to the council members and also made a public comment for the council meeting, but I'm definitely supporting UNNC to make a concerted and combined statement.
Right. We have received a letter, I can share it, from the Harvard Heights Neighborhood Association, addressed to us, but basically addressing the topic that they do not wish to be, what did you say? Abducted, kidnapped? What was the phrase you just used?
I said kidnapped.
Kidnapped. So this is referring to, at the moment, a motion by Gil Cedillo to move Harvard Heights into Council District 1. That's one of 38 motions that were presented. I am so losing track of time. Tuesday at City Council to be discussed beginning tomorrow. There's also an alternative motion that would say leave the boundaries of CD10 where they were on the final redistricting map. So the question I have for all of you is, in terms of speeding this along, do you want to see the 38 motions? I can share them. Do you want to see the Harvard Heights letter? I can share it, but what would you like me to do at this moment? What's the pleasure? Or shall we just talk?
We all had the chance to read it was in the agenda package, so I think most of us had the chance to read the motion, the 38 items that the city council put out there. So I don't know if we need to see that, but we haven't had the chance to see the Harvard Heights letter.
Okay. Well, why don't I do that? And Chris, your hand is up.
My main focus is that we have a motion that gives us the maximum flexibility to be able to weigh in on these issues as they evolve, and that keeps UNNC's voice active, and we're not excluded from ever testifying. So I just want to make sure as we go forward that we empower ourselves to make sure that can happen. Thank you.
Okay, I have, it's a brief letter. I have posted the Harvard Heights letter if you can see that.
Dolores has her hand up.
Yes, I'm sorry, Dolores. Oh, but you're muted.
I agree, we don't need to show all 38 motions, but I do, there may be some people online that do not know which one of those motions affect CD10. And I have it written out so I can read those out, to everybody real quick if you want.
That would be fine. And I think, okay, go ahead. Please do that, because I'm not sure if I do or do not have something that reflects just that. So why don't you go ahead?
Okay, motion 46B, authored by Gil Cedillo, and that is to move 11th Street, Western Avenue, Washington Boulevard, and Normandy from CD10 to CD1. Motion 46E, Nuri Martinez is the author, to move western half of Census Block bounded by Hayworth Avenue, Wentworth Drive, Fairfax Avenue, and Olympic from 10 into CD1. 46J is authored by Krikorian, West 18th Street, Robinson Boulevard, Cadillac Avenue, and La Cienega from 10 into 5. And 46O, Nuri Martinez authored it, 43rd Street, 4th Avenue, 43rd Place, Vernon Avenue, and Arlington from CD8 into 10. And this is the most disturbing. 46W by Nuri Martinez, instruct chief legislative analyst to provide an analysis of an alternate map that incorporates 8, 9, 10, 11, and 15 from the LACCRC proposed map. And that was the last one. It was 5 that affected CD10. So they're just basically, while we are lame ducks, they are chipping away at our district.
So I have a question. I was told in a rape prevention class that you're supposed to yell fire instead of help. Is anyone yelling fire?
Right. What I'm going to post is more or less what Dolores just read, but I think the last one, the interpretation, is by CD10, because this was sent out by Kamani Black. That 46W maintains CD10 as approved by the Redistricting Commission. Of course, part of the problem is no one knows what any of this really means. Yeah, so if you can see what I just posted is an email that went out from existing staff of Council District 10 about this and the hearing link for tomorrow. So I feel that what we want to do is reiterate our prior position / request that UNNC remain whole and remain in CD10. I think we should say respectfully the final map that was approved by the redistricting commission as it relates to UNNC and Council District 10 meets with our approval. And we request that it be what is adopted. So I don't want to have us making comments on the Valley. And I really don't want us making, comments on the back and forth right now going on between CD9 and 8. But so if we can limit our comments to UNNC and CD10, I think we should acknowledge that we understand that most communities, neighborhoods and communities and neighborhood councils who work hard on creating community assets want to retain their community assets, because that does seem to be the crux of most of these matters. And that, I don't know if there's an and that, but those are the three things that I think we would need to have at minimum to be able to respond to the current iteration. So I now see, I don't know the order the hands went up. I'm so sorry. I see Lizzie, I see Sandra, and I see Dennis. So I'm just gonna go Lizzie, Sandra, Dennis.
I'm up too.
And should I unshare the screen again?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Michael's hand is up also.
Yeah, I'm up as well.
Okay, sorry.
Lizzie was first.
Okay. So,
Someone please illustrate me on this. What is the reason behind moving Harvard Heights from CD10 to CD1? Because that would be the one that would probably affect UNNC more directly, right? Because we would basically lose one of our historic neighborhoods, the historic district, the HPOZ, that it's Harvard Heights. So please explain to me, because I'm not familiar with this particular one.
How will we know?
Yeah, I am. What was explained to me by a person who may or may not know, and I would say as likely not know as no, is that Councilmember Cedillo may be thinking that there's more Latinx voters in Harvard Heights.
Okay.
But then again, his district is, from what I saw on the redistricting maps, the way it's proposed in the current version is 67% Latin. I'm saying, I can't pronounce it, but Latino, Latina, Latinx already.
Latinx is fine.
Yeah, Latinx. So I don't really know, Lizzie. I don't think we can totally know. I mean, but what we can know, and that was the and I was going to say was, and not divide. You know, we want to not divide HPOZs and other overlays. You know, so moving Harvard Heights divides the Harvard Heights HPOZ, and worse, the Harvard Heights HPOZ board has many times reiterated their desire to expand the HPOZ to include at minimum Manhattan Place on, west of Western between Venice and Pico. It's a National Register district and should be, they think, within Harvard. I mean, I'd love them to include all of Angeles Vista, but the planning department frowns on HPOZs going across boundaries of council districts. Okay, I've already forgotten the order I called people. Was it Sandra, Michael, then Dennis?
All right.
So Sandra, Michael, and then Dennis, just because you spoke once.
And Dorit.
And now Dorit. Okay.
Okay, I just would like to reiterate again that whatever we decide a consensus should be, I feel that all the board members should reach out to everyone that they know, because as Michael has stated, this is a fire and we should all let everybody know. All of us should use all of our power to get all of our members, friends, neighbors, and CD10 to whatever we decide to do, make us all aware of it, and so we can all support it wholeheartedly, full throttle. Okay.
Thank you. Michael?
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question. It's my understanding that the council districts are proportioned according to population. Is that correct?
Yes.
On or about 260,000 people per district? Well, it
Yes.
seems as though they're chipping away at our district and there are no apparent adders. So has Council District 10 increased its population to the point that it's, for lack of a better term, bursting at the seams and we need to move some territory out? Or are we overreacting because we just don't have anyone to help us? And will calmer heads prevail in the long run that CD10 needs to stay more or less as it is because of the population distribution?
Oh, you're asking all of us non-experts to answer that?
No, I want the consensus of the group. I mean, where do we land on this? I mean, it seems like the population distribution is what drives the district proportionment in the first place. So I'm just asking the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that is one of the driving forces is the population. And if I recall, CD10 population is not bursting at the seams. And we are recommending that groups do weigh in, and with the subcommittee councils to keep the 10th district intact as is. When we are saying that they should keep the, there should be a plan to comply with the Voting Rights Act, that neighborhood councils should be kept whole, communities should be kept whole, and HPOZs as it relates to the 10th district. Now, in terms of some of what you mentioned in terms of the motion, the items that you heard, we've had conversation with some of the other council district, and we are perfectly okay with, based on the recommendation that Martinez and Krikorian recommended, we have had conversation with some of those council districts, and we're perfectly okay with leaving the boundaries in place, returning what they now have suggested those lines to be removed. So as an example, we've had conversation with the 8th district. Harris Dawson is okay with putting back the area that you mentioned in, I think it was 46-0, that we leave that boundary as is. We agreed that they should have all of the mall because the mall should never been split in the first place. So we agreed on that. We're in conversation regarding Harbor Heights. It should remain in 10 as it currently was. And I think there was a question about Little Ethiopian in terms of making sure that stay intact as well. So groups will be weighing in on what they are concerned about as it relates to their boundaries, their organizations, to make sure that those items remain intact, because 10th district is not bursting at the seams as we heard in the reports.
So Mary, if I might ask one more question, you're on the inside. Is there
somewhat?
Well, okay, but more so than any of us. So is there any indication that you're feeling, or you're getting a sense that there are districts that we're going to have to be compromised and that we will lose? There's not a chance that we're going to retain them. There are some boundaries that are inevitably going to move.
You know what, I can't say at this point, because what I can say, before this ad hoc committee was created, basically the 10th district was left intact. It was pretty much exactly, I think there was some question regarding Koreatown, we was able to get that back. So there were very, very, very minimum changes to the 10th district prior to this subcommittee being created. So basically, so I don't know at this point. All I know is that people are prepared. Organizations are prepared to respond to the ad hoc committee in terms of what they would like to see and how they would like to see the 10th district remain as it relates to where their concerns.
Thank you.
So I would encourage you guys, yes, to weigh in with the ad hoc committee on your concerns as well.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so I feel a hand went down, but Dennis, you're next.
Thank you. I want to respond to the earlier question before I raised my hand, that this just looks like a power grab to me. I look at the map, and this is an extension of CD1 right along the old, sort of like river channel, to just add a little chunk onto that district. But what really concerns me, I think an additional point, are we in a position to really defend ourselves in CD10? Now, I'm one of those on the outside, but it seems like we've lost our elected council member. And while that position is not filled with another elected official, that people are just chipping away at us, think they can grab part of it and run away. Are we in need of some additional representation here? Thank you.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Dolores, Dorit, then Grace.
I think Dorit was up before me.
Yes, I was. Thank you so much,
sorry.
Dolores.
Dorit, Dolores, then Grace.
Dennis used the word kidnapped. I feel like I live in the Sugar Hill district of Harvard Heights. I feel more like it's a spaceship sucking us up out of CD10. I really don't want to be in CD1 for lots of reasons. But besides that, there's no reason a neighborhood council cannot be in two different council districts. I was very active in my former neighborhood council, being on the board as well. And we were in two different districts and we used to play them against each other. So like kids of divorced parents, and it worked really well. So I don't think that's a reason that we should be fighting anything, is the fear of being in two different districts, or that we'll have to split up if we're in two different council districts. But I agree that I really do not want to be sucked into council district 1.
Okay, Dolores, then Grace.
Okay, my main concern is Mary has indicated she kept referring to we. I don't know who we is, or maybe those city council persons have been in contact with Mark Ridley Thomas and gave his opinion of what he feels the district should be. I don't know. All of that is taken care of, and we don't know what is happening to us. My main concern is that the city council or Nuri Martinez appointed a caretaker without a voice on the city council. So we don't know whether whatever was agreed to, those city council persons will stick to that. We need to, my main concern is, and what's got me fired up, is that we should be jumping up and down to say we need a voice on that city council, because so many important things are happening right now and we're just lame ducks. So I don't know. I'm ready to march.
Here, Dolores. Good. I'm with you. Let's march. Let's do something.
Okay, Grace.
Thank
Grace
you.
is next.
Thank you, Laura. I was going to say, I think, Michael, you asked, the 261,000 is the number that is supposed to be. And the lowest number of population is 249,000 in District 7. And the highest is in District 11 with 275,000. CD10, as of the last map that had been approved in the K25, where the commissioners had approved it, was 273,000. So it is possible that they would want to try to chip away, but it's because they think it's doable. City council members tend to only do things that they think they can get away without being hit back. I will tell you that there are certain neighborhoods within the city that city council members go, we can't touch that area, because they vote and they are loud and they keep contacting me in my office. So we can't break apart that neighborhood council. We as UNNC need to protect our neighborhood councils, because it's really nice for us to stay connected. And if we want to be able to do that, then we, the voters, need to say, or at least the people who are in the portion between 11th and Washington and Western and Normandy, need to say, I'm a voter and I do not want to be in CD1. I want to remain in CD10. The more people within that quadrant can say this, the more Gil Cedillo will say, I guess I don't want them because they're too much of a fire.
Very good.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble seeing hands again.
Teresa.
Teresa, thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And thank you, Grace, for doing your homework, because I asked you about redistricting during the executive committee and you didn't have an opinion. So I'm glad to see that you did some research and now you have been brought up to date. Laura, I think we're ready. There's been a lot of discussion. I like what Chris said about giving the, coming up with the motion that's kind of broad, that gives us a lot of flexibility. Also,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm entering something and tell me if that's what you think. Broad and flexible.
But let me make my second point, that I'm with Dolores. We need to start moving, and I know we talked about coming up with a press strategy, and I feel like that's where, and maybe at some point executive, or we'll have a special meeting, that's where we need to be focusing, because we don't have any representation right now. And I know these boundaries are going to be moved, so we need to come up with, and I disagree a little bit with Dora Reed. I think we voted, we want to stay whole, but I feel we have more strength when we are in one council district. So do you want me to read this, or you just, everybody take a look at it and we'll be ready to vote?
Right, and do you want me to post the same thing up on the screen instead of in the chat? I have it in Word. I've been typing while we've been talking. Which would be easier to read?
It's fine with me either way. You can ask the rest of
If you share it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I can.
post it on the screen.
Because that way we can also, oh, did I share the wrong thing?
Nope, you're good.
What are you guys seeing?
That CIS.
Yes.
We're seeing it. We're seeing the CIS.
Yeah, and it's editable.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
Okay, is Teresa going to read it?
I will. Does it need to be read, or can we just do it? You want me to read it, Paula?
Well, or make it.
You can read it.
Make it a little bigger.
I can do that.
Okay. Or you can read it, Laura, since you wrote it.
I know, but I can also make it a little bit bigger.
Okay.
You know, every time I try to drag a margin while I'm screen sharing, I mess things up, but let me try that. Does that
It's
help?
bigger. It's
Okay.
bigger.
and this may not be exactly the words you want. I was just typing away.
To create and improve community assets, including both economic and cultural. UNNC is not different.
So the point there was that as that line dividing the north side of UNNC, you know, right now it's at Normandy, and then it moved at some point to Western, and then there was another map version at Arlington, then there was another map version that had the line going down Gramercy, which would have divided Western Heights, Angeles Vista, divided, and Country Club Park, which is not us, but would have divided those neighborhoods between two districts. So one of the discussion points there was that it would divide our assets, meaning we have the Ray Charles, we have the almost completed Debbie Allen Dance Academy, we have Amazing Grace Conservatory, we also have Surface, you know, an economic asset. So it was like we've worked so hard for so many years on Washington Boulevard in particular, that that was one item. But what's happening all over the city is it does seem that a good chunk of the discussion is everyone wants to take a particular asset into their community. So the Sepulveda Basin is one. USC and Exposition Park is another. None of these affect us, except insofar as all the gerrymandering happening elsewhere ends up changing population counts, which would potentially affect us. So that's why it's like, but we understand why everybody wants to, because we want to do it too. So that's why I wrote that may not be the position we want to take on a CIS.
Point of order, Madam President. We are 24 minutes and 36 seconds into this one agenda item A. So I maybe take one more question and then let's make the motion.
Quick question, if I may. Laura, did someone earlier say that your point 3 regarding the HPOZs, it was frowned upon to split HPOZs between council districts? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
So wouldn't this be a moot point, point 3?
Oh, I feel like it
No,
should be
it's not moot.
stated.
It's not moot at all if Harvard Heights, but not West Adams Heights, gets moved into Council District 1. We don't, I mean, it's not moot.
I thought I understood that they did not want to split council districts in any event. So maybe I misunderstood.
There's one of those motions that actually proposes that.
One
Yes,
of
they
the,
do.
yeah, one of the motions proposes splitting up the HPOZ.
Oh, so we just want to address the fact, we want to address the motion, not the
Correct.
end result. Okay.
Call for the question.
Please.
Okay, well, is this the motion, what I wrote? I mean, I'm happy to move it.
I move to adopt Laura's motion or second it if it was made by Laura.
Well, it's better if somebody else moves it than me.
I have another question, if I might.
Well, wait, there's a motion on the floor.
Oh, there is? Okay.
Yeah,
Isn't, John, aren't you making a motion?
I move to Laura's, what Laura posted.
And I second.
Paula seconds.
Yes.
Okay, I'll take the roll. I'm open for discussion, but I guess we've discussed it, so we're going to take the roll now.
Michael had one more
I
question.
had
Yeah,
one more
Michael.
quick question. We've
Okay.
stated strongly throughout this discussion that we feel strongly about having representation. And I think it may be worthy to put a preamble into this, that we strongly request representation to gain these points. That's the only thing I wanted to add.
I agree.
Maybe we can take what we submitted previously and add that as the preamble, Laura.
Yeah, I think that we can do without, I mean, this is just a new CIS, but I think that's possible. So I don't know that I can copy paste it on a dime like this.
Okay, Raheem
So-
has his hand up.
Hey, I just wanted to go back to Dorit's point earlier about like this insistence that we have of UNNC staying intact. Like, I'm just wondering if that's like diluting our other points. Like if we're asking for all these things to be true, like it might make it harder. And so I'm just wondering, like I heard Dorit's point and it resonated with me. And that's kind of giving me mixed feelings about, what was on screen. I'm just wondering if any other board members feel the
Well, if
same way,
I
or
could
if
just
we're
answer
just.
that, Raheem, we already voted on this. And yes, you and Dorit were two of the people who dissented on that vote. But we've already voted, and that is the UNNC stance right now, that we want to remain whole and within CD10. Now, if we were to have another vote, or maybe in the future, we can change that. But right now, that is our stance.
Okay, well, I guess my best suggestion is, Raheem, you could vote no, but I mean, I understand, but I think we need to vote on this motion, and
Yes.
it pass or fail, and if it fails, we can then continue the discussion.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
it's
it seemed like there was a conversation about what was contained in the writing there, so I don't know why. If
Yeah, but
there's certain
then
things that
John-
aren't, if there's certain things that aren't changeable, then fine. But then why are we talking about what could be about changing the motion? That's
Okay.
it.
Yep.
A question,
And
are
Dennis, now we have some more hands up, but can I say again, we have a motion on the floor. So
Yes.
But we have a motion on the floor, but it's open for discussion because you
Yes,
make
it
the
is.
motion, you get
So-
a second. It's
yeah,
discussion.
so it is
Dennis-
open for discussion. That's right. So I just want to make sure that the hands raised are discussing now the motion. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Thank you.
It sounds, based upon what I've and several others have said, that we need to get someone to represent us in the city council, and that our neighborhood council not be dismembered without representation.
That
Okay.
was stated.
That's everyone's goal, Dennis. We have to go through, we're going through a process. And right now, we want to get the CIS approved and then go to the next one. There's another agenda item very similar to this. So,
Perhaps I didn't state this very well. We do not have a council member to prevent Cedrillo and Martinez from taking part of our district.
No.
Yeah, that-
okay, if I
that
could
was
just comment.
stated.
No, we do not, Dennis. And the board is trying to come up with a strategy. Right now, we're going to put forth these CIS statements, and then we're going to have a press conference. And then there are other ideas that we've been thinking about to force the city council to appoint someone that can vote on our behalf or represent CD10 during these redistricting negotiations. I mean, that is our ultimate goal. But, you know, the board, the executive committee said, let's go through these steps first. Let's do the CIS. Let's do this. Let's do that. Okay, so that's what we're doing.
Perhaps I don't understand why that can't be in the CIS. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, I'm going to jump in. You know, we did pass that specific CIS, Dennis. It was filed. We wrote a letter to every council member. It was sent not just to every council member, but their chiefs of staff. It was sent to the mayor. It was sent to the city attorney. It was sent to the CAO. And we have done that. And since we've passed that CIS, the preamble that Teresa mentioned, we can take the preamble and put it to this as we send out letters. And if there's room for it in the CIS itself, because there's word character count, we can add that there too. And we can incorporate that into this, but we need to have this new CIS with a new council file number on this topic of the redistricting maps.
Got it.
Got it?
Got it.
And Raheem, are you still wanting to speak? Because your hands, no. Dolores, Lizzie, and then as Teresa did point out, we're over time.
My question is regarding the motion. We talked about adding the preamble of not having representation or demanding that we have representation, a voting representation on the council. Do we have to amend John's motion to add the preamble? Oh, crickets.
I think you do.
Agreed to it, but Laura just wasn't unable to cut and paste it in.
Okay, here we go. Hang on. I've got something. This may not be perfect, but
Can Lizzie ask her question?
sure, please. Well, I repost this.
Not really a question, but this is a multi-step approach. We're just doing the CIS and words can get us so far. I think I wrote it on Dolores' Facebook. We need to do a march, a protest, meetings of the leaders with the city hall leaders, let them know, make noise. Thank you.
There we go.
How about what I just posted? Something
Great.
like that.
I love it, Laura.
Here rings G.
I just added the G. I know. It's
Okay.
probably, do you see the G? I got the G.
Yes, yes.
And then okay. In the meantime, ... This can be more clean, but UNNC reiterates that. Does this work?
Yes.
Yes, I believe it does. So it would be as amended. Or this is the actual.
I have to accept, we have to put that into the motion?
Well,
Yes.
You
Okay.
just have to accept the friendly
I'll accept that.
recommendation or friendly changes.
Yeah, you have to accept it and then I resecond it.
Thank you.
They have already appointed a caretaker. So should this not be saying that the current appointed caretaker have a voting voice on the council?
Thank you. Yes.
What it says.
No, it doesn't. Oops, needed an R. What do you think?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
That okay with you, John?
Yep. Yep. All good with me.
And who
Dennis, does that work for you?
Thank you, it does.
Okay.
Okay,
And
so
I remains as second.
yes,
Thank you, Paula.
okay. Lolita Justice, ineligible. Grace Yu, ineligible. John Arnold,
Yes.
yes. Lizzie,
Yes.
Oh,
pardon
I'm
me?
sorry, Dolores, is your hand up on purpose? Thank you.
Stacy,
You mean Sarah?
oh, sorry, Sarah, yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sarah Lacy, sorry.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. Nancy, Greg,
Yes.
Greg is a yes. Chris, Michael,
Yes.
Michael's a yes. Teresa's a yes. Dennis,
Yes.
Dennis is a yes. Is Chris Carlson back? Okay. Paula Southern,
Yes.
Paula's a yes. Laura,
Yes.
Laura's a yes. Carlos,
Yes.
Carlos is a yes. Paul,
Yes.
Paul's a yes. Raheem, oh, Charlie, sorry, I'm sorry, Charlie,
Yes.
Charlie's a yes. Raheem,
Yeah.
Raheem's a yes, reluctantly. Dolores,
Yes.
Dolores is a yes. Dorit,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you. And Jasmine.
Yes.
And Jasmine, yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I feel like the next item, 9B, report and update regarding this, Council File 21-1203, suspension of Council District 10's council member, we've just handled, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So we can move on, because again, this agenda was created before some of the events of this week. Yeah. So item 9C, designated.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. So we're considering this a 2-for-1 CIS, so it's going to do both?
I don't know. What do you're more expert at CISs?
No, I'm right now I'm just confused. So we're considering.
Do you all think, well, no, I'm wondering, do we wish to adopt a further resolution in CIS? At the moment, there has been a caretaker appointed. It was not, Carly was not appointed with a voice and a vote at City Council. We just wrote that we want her to be given a voice and a vote at City Council. Do you want to adopt? I mean, we can do a quick vote where we on 9B, we could do a motion and vote that we ask that the caretaker Carly Katona be given a voice and vote at City Council, if that's the desire of the board.
Can you put that name in the chat so I can see the spelling? Has this been announced? This is the first I'm hearing.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What was announced 2 days ago? My head is spinning. It's every day. My head is spinning.
On Monday.
Carly Katona, Chief of Staff for CD10, was appointed caretaker. I'm typing and saying it out loud. So she was appointed the caretaker. She was given the authority to spend discretionary funds and to, run the office. She obviously does not have a vote. She doesn't get to go stand on council floor. If anyone's standing there, I don't know. I'm lost track of what's virtual and what's not. But do we want to take our CIS further and ask for her in particular to be given a voice and a vote? That wasn't what we had done on the 26th of October.
Laura, may I weigh in?
I have some hands up. Yes, and then Sandra.
I think as a non-voting appointee to take care of the resources of the district is fine. But in that she does not live in the district.
Oh, right.
I don't think it's a good idea to have her voting on behalf of the district.
Oh.
Well,
and if we're going to appoint someone, they need to be a resident of the district.
So does that mean the one we just voted on has to change?
No, I think our little preamble is just a commentary.
We're asking the council to give us a voting member, but I think the chief of staff who does not live in the district is not the best choice at the time. We need someone from here.
Well, okay.
Thought about that.
I know Sandra has her hand up, but I want to say the reason we had not named a particular person was to not fall deep into politics previously. I do know that we just approved the other CIS with a preamble, and I feel it's okay there, but I'm not sure it's because we're not necessarily using that as our press release, because now we're talking, I mean, I don't know. What do you, okay, Sandra has her hand up.
Okay,
You know, this is taking an awfully long time, which is, it's important that we do have a good decision. Sandra, then Grace.
Okay, so this is all very important, so we have to be patient with this and take our time.
Right.
I didn't even think about what Michael has said, but I was suggesting that if since she has been appointed, can we set up a town hall meeting with her to see, in layman's terms, where she's coming from? And, you know, ask her what her concerns are, because I seen from the press release that she said she was going to continue to focus on homelessness, which is a good thing, but we have 99 issues, and homelessness is just one of them. So can we also ask for, would the board agree to having her come out, do a Zoom town hall, instead of just putting in a position and we never talk with her? I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Ask
Great. Oh, Mary may want to respond to this. Is that okay? Yes, Mary.
Yes, fine. Let me just say though, that our focus in the 10th district has not changed. We are continuing to focus on all of our projects, all of the issues that we were currently focusing on. The staff is committed to doing that, and we're going to continue to push hard. We're going to continue to push fast, and we're going to continue to push forward on from homelessness to and all the issues. And I understand you're saying that there's more than homeless issues, but of course there are, and we're going to continue to land use, housing development, transportation projects. We're going to continue to push all of those projects. Nothing has fallen off the table. And I can assure you that nothing will fall off the table in terms of projects. Now, our office is in a position to create motions, and other council member can carry those motions for us. I think last week we introduced maybe 2 or 3 motions last week, and we are in a position to do that. Carly has the authority to do that in terms of writing motion, carrying motion, and getting other council members to carry those motions for us as a caretaker. But she will continue to do all the duties of a council person, except for she will not sit in that chair around the horseshoe, but she certainly will be in the boardroom, in the city council, can do motions and work with other council members and get them to carry those motions. And we are pushing, in terms of this redistricting piece, we're pushing really, really hard to make sure that the district stays intact. We're really concerned about Harvard Heights and to make sure that your neighborhood council, and someone mentioned, yes, neighborhood councils are split between 2 districts. You may recall Koreatown was split in 4 districts, which is absolutely unacceptable. But you know, there's many that are split between 2 districts, but we want to push as much as possible to make sure all of our neighborhood councils are kept whole, except for the West area, who actually spoke in the commission meeting, said that they're okay being split. They want to stay the way that they are, but we want to make sure that we're not making any necessary changes in terms of Harvard Heights or in terms of Koreatown, to make sure that those communities are kept as whole as possible. We're going to continue to push for that. We have council members who like I said, we've had conversation with and willing to leave their district to say, no, we don't want your part, you keep yours and we'll keep ours. So we're going to push for that.
Thank you, Mary. Grace, then Lizzie.
I was going to say what Michael said is accurate, that when we have representation, we need someone who lives in our district. And for us as UNNC, I would like us to be consistent. I don't want, the city to say, but you said this there and you're inconsistent. So I like consistency. So I know you probably don't want to make it another friendly amendment, but that is what I would suggest.
Yeah, and I think we like consistency as well. And had the council had not appointed Carly, they would have appointed someone from city clerk who would not have lived in the 10th district either, or they would have appointed someone out of City Hall who does not necessarily live in the 10th district either. It is a caretaker. And I don't know if it's anything written that caretakers have to live, because they are simply, caretakers and not forever. But so when we met with the city clerk regarding caretaker, the first option was to have someone from the city clerk's office to be the caretaker who was not a 10th district resident. And that's kind of their process. That's kind of next in line in terms of, actually first in line in terms of a city clerk staff as caretaker.
Okay. Lizzie?
Yes. I read on Nextdoor on the agency site that some neighborhood councils have created an ad hoc redistricting committee. As we can see, putting this as an agenda item takes so long. It's such an important issue. So it would be something to consider, just creating a special committee dedicated to this issue.
So we're actually on, thank you. We're on 9B, which is the suspension of the council district's member, not 9A. So the question is, on 9A, which we did already vote on with the preamble, did we want to revise the preamble? And on 9B, conversely, did we want to use what we already voted on to say, to say again that we want the current caretaker to not just have a voice, because Mary just explained to us that she does have a voice. She's able to write motions, and at least some council members have agreed to carry them. So it's the vote that we don't have. And okay, so yes, I'm going to say we did a lot of research in advance of our October 26th special board meeting. The city council has done many, many different kinds of things starting in the 50s, and none of those things was to appoint a real interim or temporary council person who had voice and vote. So our request is different than they've ever done. When, for example, someone was sick, no, they've appointed when the seat is vacant, real vacant, not a suspension. But when someone's been sick for months and months and months, they just weren't there. So what we were asking is different, not unpermitted. There's nothing in the municipal code or administrative code or the charter that says it can't. They've just, as far as I know, at least from 1950s forward, that's as far back as I got in my research, they have not ever appointed someone on an interim basis while the seat is temporarily vacant, but with the potential that the person who sits in the seat might return. That's sort of where we are right now. So that being said, we plunged ahead into that deep end and decided we're going to ask for that anyway. In terms of residency of a caretaker, I am not, since there's nothing in the municipal code, administrative code, or charter that even sets forth a caretaker with a vote, it certainly doesn't say anything about residency. So I just don't know if that matters. It may matter to us, but I don't know if that it matters legally. So the big question, the elephant in the room is, did we want to do we want to redo that preamble that we just put on the CIS? Do we want to not redo it and then do a CIS that says the same thing on our 9B? What do we want to do? I personally feel like we don't need to do anything further, but I see hands. So I guess
I agree. This is Paula.
with what? That we don't need to do anything further?
Correct.
Okay, so then we have Dennis, Teresa, Dorit, John with a hand and a thumbs up. Anyway. Dennis, Teresa, Dorit, John.
Okay, I haven't heard anybody say anything bad about the caretaker. Not that the caretaker is incompetent or unable to serve. And so I think we ought to just keep our motion the way it is and pass it on.
Right. Okay, Teresa?
Yeah, I agree. We should keep the motion the way it is. Carly's not going to be able to vote on the redistricting anyway. So right now she's been, she's part of the staff. Mary's saying that she's going to continue to focus on the things that they've always focused on. So to me, why not keep her? She can't vote on redistricting, and that's what we really need. So.
Right. John?
I totally agree. I think Carly knows the most of what was going on, and I'd rather have someone who already knows what was going on and as a continuum than have someone new for in this case an arbitrary reason because they don't live here or because they
John, John, can you help us out a little bit here? Because I think you're the person who actually knows her. I mean, whereas I think she's brand new or an unknown name to a lot of people. Can you give us a 1 minute?
Oh boy, I mean, I met her a couple.
I know you could give her a 10 minute, but can you give us a 1 minute?
A couple of times on Zoom just to review projects, planning and zoning issues, and she's responsive, she's involved, and she knows what's going on in the district. That was her job, and to know a lot about everything. As far as I know, she was involved with the park discussion with Murphy Oil. She's been around since she started a year ago or less than a year ago. So I'm all for it, and also I think she's been active in the city for a very long time.
Yeah, let me just say that Carly actually was around during the study, the 12 years of county board of supervisor. Carly also served under Yvonne Burke on the board of supervisors. She's an expert in terms of economic development, land use issues. She was charged with building the Martin Luther King Hospital, the Bellona Creek project, numerous housing development. I'm not biased, but she's just absolutely great. She's absolutely great. She knows the project, she knows the issues. She's been around for a while. Like I said, we found her, she served under Yvonne Burke. She's been around for a very, quite a long time, and she's quite familiar with all of the issues that we're confronted with. She, from homeless to a lot of the land use issues. So she's been around quite a while and been active and pretty comfortable around City Hall as she was at the Hall of Administration. So you guys should, of course, get to know her for yourself, but she's been around for a while. She knows this stuff.
And she's been responsive and
Very.
And she has signs of being a leader, and she to be direct and move forward with items at hand. That's my experience with it. So I'm all for keeping as appointed and wait till we get the opportunity to get someone who lives here. If it's not.
So are we agreeing to move on?
Yeah.
So what are we doing with 9B? What are we doing with 9B, Laura?
I feel that I don't feel we need to do anything with 9B. Again, agendas are created, and then in this case, everything's fast moving. So we don't have to take an action.
Okay.
9C, we do need to take an action. Designate, and we need to designate an authorized UNNC representative to acquire the 2021 Neighborhood Council digital election records from the city clerk. The motion from the executive committee is to appoint our elections chair, Lizzie Moro Misato, as UNNC's authorized representative.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
I second it.
And I will pop it into the chat, but it's direct off of the agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, can we call the roll?
Lolita Justice is ineligible. Grace Yu is ineligible. John Arnold,
Yes.
John is a yes. Lizzie,
Yes.
Stacy, Sarah, sorry, Sarah,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Chris is gone off, I guess. Michael,
Yes.
Teresa is a yes. Dennis,
Yes.
Dennis is a yes. Paula,
Yes.
Paula is a yes. Laura,
Yes,
Laura is a yes. Carlos,
he left.
oh, he left.
Yes. And so we need to begin to track quorum as well.
Paul,
Yes.
Charlie,
Ina.
Charlie,
Yes.
Raheem,
Sorry, I need to abstain. I stepped away.
okay. Dolores, Dorit,
Big ol' yes.
I'm sorry, yes, Dolores.
okay, and Jasmine.
Yeah.
Jasmine's a yes.
And I'm sorry, I forgot who seconded this.
Paula,
Okay. thank you. 9D, board seat vacancies. We still have 2 vacancies, one for Harvard Heights and one at large. We have 1 application. We're not discussing it tonight. We'll interview on at executive committee, but we have 1 application for the at-large position, but we do need to put that back out. And tomorrow or Saturday, I guess. And so that's it. So is there anything to discuss on it? Okay, moving on. Planning and zoning, 10A, a proposed street intervention letter for Harvard Heights. So Dennis, I'm going to hand this, I'll share the screen, but I'll hand this to you to explain. But as a result of a dangerous speeding situation on Ardmore and Kingsley streets or avenues between Venice and Washington Boulevard, UNNC proposes potential remedial mitigations and establishing a street intervention measure. And while I look for the screen, Dennis, can you explain it?
Yes, this came out of the Jefferson Park Slow Streets work. And the Slow Streets programs aren't available to us right now. They haven't approved any since last October. What we've got here is a very small problem. Between Washington and Venice, people have been cutting through to avoid the stoplight intersections at Normandy and Western. What makes this a little different is that there are 7 of these north-south streets there, and they're very long streets. They're 2 or 3 blocks long, running all the way uninterrupted between Washington and Venice. Over the past years, 5 of those streets have had traffic calming devices put in, whether it's speed bumps, center line striping, signs to slow down, signs reducing it to 15 miles an hour. In any effect, 5 of the streets are already limited. As a result of this, the concentration of people trying to cut through is going on these last 2 streets of Kingsley and Ardmore. And it's like a drag strip because they're long, flat, uninterrupted streets. What we can do is ask the Department of Transportation, based upon what the traffic planner told me, to ask the district engineer, which is this proposed letter, to do a street intervention, just this street or these 2 streets. And we're not telling them how to do it, just to come in and see what you can do. You heard mentioned earlier tonight about how the Slow Streets is moving from just paper signs and little non-physical devices to putting up bollards and lines and medians. They can come in and put a little something that might actually make a difference here. So that's the point of it. We've concentrated the cut-through traffic on these remaining 2 streets. Let's let DOT come in and see what they can do for us. Any questions?
Well, I have a question now. Do you guys still see the letter on the screen?
Nope.
No. It's a big old square.
All right, I'm stopping the share. Did you all have a chance to see it? Should I try it again?
I don't think it was ever there.
Oh,
No, it was there. It was there. Oh, I
The letter
started.
does lay it out if you want to take a look at it.
Yeah, it was there. I saw it too.
okay. Well, here's the point. The motion would be, and I think it's your motion, Dennis, to approve sending this draft letter as we see it. Now, can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
My motion is to have the UNNC send this letter as addressed to the district engineer.
Yes.
I'm going to
So-
second that. This is
Okay,
Jerry.
so it's moved by Dennis Leskey and seconded by Dorit to send the letter as presented to the traffic and transportation engineer and anyone else who ought to see it.
Anyway, can the council district get a copy? Can you CC us?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
But it's we're approving the content of the letter, not the addressees.
Okay.
And I'm going to stop the share. I mean, is there any further discussion? Teresa, can we call the roll?
Lolita Justice ineligible, Grace Yu ineligible, John,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Teresa is a yes, Dennis,
Yes,
Paula,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Raheem, Dolores, Dorit,
Yes, ma'am.
Jasmine,
Yes.
Raheem, and Dolores. Okay, it passes.
Okay. Item 10B, the SB9 resolution. John, are we tabling that?
Yeah, so we talked about it for 4 or 5 minutes. We have general direction, but no consensus, so there's no action. We'll take it up next month.
Okay. John, 10C, follow up to planning and zoning, previous cases, ENS, old business, anything?
So we had the discussion about the committee for transportation, and we can't take it up tonight because it's not agendized, or is that old business?
That it's not agendized.
Okay, so
Yeah, this would be updates on any of the cases, housing element, anything, or not.
I have no updates. Just in
Okay.
the time, I could probably talk for 10 minutes if you wanted me to, but
No. We'd love to move on. Up to you.
no, let's move on.
Okay, 11, item 11, community impact statements. And there is one proposed, a citywide electrical grid. And I am going to share the screen. This came from the environmental committee. The environmental committee dealt with this item for 2 meetings. And all I'm looking for now is the governing board agenda so I can post it again. Here we go. And so basically the city is considering doing a strategic long-term citywide electric vehicle master plan that includes provisions that maximize federal and state funding for equitable placement of electric vehicle infrastructure. That's a lot of technical thing for saying chargers, car chargers. And it would increase the chance that UNNC residents have access to affordable electric charging. However, we had some concerns as well. So the CIS is that the automobile is, as we see on the screen, the automobile industry is switching from gasoline to electric cars unless the city plans ahead, as proposed in Council File 210890. There is a risk that market forces will leave too many UNNC residents, particularly renters and those without off-street parking, unable to enjoy the benefits of electric cars. Because UNNC residents do need equitable access to affordable electric car charging, UNNC supports the motion in Council File 21-0890. So that's the proposed CIS. Charlie, are you still here?
Yes.
On behalf of the Environmental Committee, do you want to make that motion?
Sure. So I move that we approve the community impact statement as written.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Dorit, I'll second it.
Okay. Is there discussion? I can't see any hands because I've got the screen shared.
See no hands.
Okay. Hearing none, Teresa, would you like to call the roll?
Yes. Lolita Justice, ineligible. Grace Yu, ineligible. John,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Teresa is a yes. Dennis,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Charlie, Paul,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yep.
Dolores,
Yes.
Dorit,
Yep.
Jasmine.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Committee updates, committee reports and updates, 1 to 2 minutes apiece. If there's any committees that have an update, Lizzie, I think you do for outreach, environmental committee, I will do a 1 minute, but do you have an outreach update or not?
Yes, so we've been conversing with our outreach supporters on different ways to increase our the awareness of the neighborhood of the UNNC and in general the neighborhood council system. So for this upcoming meeting, we will be continuing that conversation. There are some options out there that we are considering. Teresa has one idea that she obtained at a workshop at one of the Congress of Neighborhood Councils. We also need to speak with Dunn on becoming more relaxed on how we approach our outreach. And also we will be talking about trying to organize something. It's we don't have much time to, only a few weeks, but we have our next Ciclavia in South LA on December the 5th. It's on a Sunday. So please come help us. We have arranged to have a booth, a table, at least a table and a tent. They're renting that for us. We will be at the starting hub, which is Crenshaw and Expo. I believe the times is as early as probably 7 or 9 to 4 o'clock. So please come help us. And we would also very much like to organize a writing team. So if you have your t-shirts, maybe if you don't have an official UNNC t-shirt, maybe an orange t-shirt, but we have to make sure with Dan that it's okay for us to be there and to represent UNNC at this outreach event.
What is the event again? Lizzie, what is the name of the event? Huh?
Ciclavia. They open up the streets for only bike riders, walkers, so no cars allowed. And
Yes,
the
yes,
main,
yes.
I'm sorry? What was the question again?
No, I just think she was saying.
No,
She remembers.
I recall now, yes.
Okay, so the main, I think the main part of the route will be Martin Luther King, but one of the starting points is in the UNSC footprint, which is Crenshaw and Expo. So I will be sending emails to everyone to remind you and to organize a shift for volunteers to be at the booth. And also, if you are, we thought about this because at the event, the writers are writing, right? They're back, so they don't have much to hold. I mean, things to hold. So maybe if we could have the different committees, if you are interested in spreading the word about your work, if you could create a poster board that we could set up on the table or maybe hang around the tent, that would be great to see that we are working on behalf of the community. The communications committee could maybe debut the branding. So this is our opportunity to really do some real outreach, you know, in-person outreach. But again, I will need to make sure with Gibson and Don that we are okay to do this. But again, think of poster board or committee, homelessness, business, advocacy. You know, this is our you know, very exciting to do this. And orange t-shirts, please. Thank you.
Are there any other committee reports before I do environmental? Okay, so for environmental committee, we're gonna do.
Raheem has his
hands up.
I'm so sorry. Raheem, go ahead.
It's fine. It's just really quick. So I had a conversation with our photographer, Josh, this week, and we're ready to start planning for board member photographs. So we're going to figure out the logistics around that. So in the next couple of weeks, just be able to look out for an email. We'll be scheduling times and figuring out locations and everything. So just wanting to be on the lookout for board member headshots so we can update them on the website soon.
Okay, any other committee reports? Okay, so environmental committee has is going to do, it's not going to be major because we're only a few people, but the new skip the stuff ordinance takes effect for big businesses on November 15, and everybody else, including all of our small, you know, the small restaurants and the small stores in January, I think, of or April, but early 2022. So skip the stuff means the plastic, you know, utensils, the, you know, a lot of the stuff when you go and buy the food to go, they're not going to be able to automatically hand you this stuff. But this grew out of Charlie has asked us to do an initiative about reducing our plastic use. So we're sort of have our idea would be, well, Charlie's committed to writing an article for the website about plastics, by the way, Raheem, FYI. And we are basically trying to do a social media campaign, not lecturing anybody who's not skipping the stuff, but rather each one of the members of the committee is identifying one or two local food businesses that are not using plastic lids, that are properly skipping the stuff. And we're going to do some social media postings congratulating them, including Raheem. I think the coffee place, I think you've already talked to her once, as have I, where they, you know, the coffee vendor that's only using biodegradable things. So, you know, it's not fully fleshed out, but that's what the environmental committee wants to do as sort of an outreach campaign. So working with Lizzie and working with Raheem, even if they didn't know it yet. Okay, thank you. Well, Lizzie knew. Lizzie knew. Charlie, did you have anything to add other than you're overwhelmed with your assignment?
Oh, no, that about covers it. I should have something, like a draft or something by, I would say like a couple of weeks, 2 weeks. I'm good with deadlines, so I should give myself a end date.
Okay. Okay, so we're beginning to lose board members, so I think we need to move on. I sent to everybody on item 13A, the UNNC inventory report. I'm going to share the screen. What this is the spreadsheet that we have had moving forward for, I don't know, almost, you know, a decade and a half. And I hope everybody had a chance to take a look at it. I do not know how to reduce this in size and thus to try to figure out how to scroll through it. But I sent it out again to everybody. I don't know how to reduce it in size, so I'm just gonna scroll up and then back over. And basically, we need to approve our inventory, and then Greg gets a different format report to upload to the city clerk. But both the city clerk and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment have separate inventory requirements. So this spreadsheet was generated by the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, or us, with their approval years ago. And it lists all of our stuff. Unfortunately, during COVID, we've lost a good chunk of our stuff. So that I'm going to take us down. See, all of this yellow is gone. And it's gone because it was in the firehouse where we had an office with a locked door, and all of this blue stuff here too, all gone. The vendor or operator of the senior center at the firehouse changed. Then the firehouse was locked before the second operator was able to get into the building. And somehow during the course of the last, well, by May, there had been too many rainstorms. Apparently the roof had leaked, everything got mucky, maybe, so we're told. And someone broke down the door, even though it said Council District 10 and it said UNNC. And the door's sitting in the middle of the room and nothing else is sitting in the middle of the room. So there's nothing to be done at the moment other than to approve this list here, because we don't know. We may or may not be told we need to file a police report. I don't know what Dunn is going to ask us to do. The only other items that I am wondering if anyone knows where they are the two Samsung Galaxy tablets that we used to take out to outreach, and the Fujitsu scanner IX500, and its location is unknown. So what I'm asking everybody to do tonight, if it's okay, is just approve this. I mean, these are the facts. We're approving the facts, and turn it in. Let's see what they tell us to do, because we've been asking what we should do for months and months, or I have been asking and do not have a response. So,
Madam President, I make a motion that we approve the inventory.
I move that we accept the report. This is Paula.
okay, Greg was making a motion.
That we approve the inventory as presented to us on this evening.
Is there a second?
Paula.
Okay.
Question.
Yes.
When the report is uploaded, is there an opportunity to make a comment, Greg?
Yes, when the format that I submit is much simpler than the spreadsheet that's there. So I could put notes in that, and then there were conversations about the necessity to do police reports on items. So I anticipate that they may come back and say, file police report. But I don't think that they're going to come back and ask for it. They just want the inventory sheet.
Do you think that we need to add a note indicating that the lost or missing items we have contacted Dunn and we were waiting for a response as to what to do about it?
We could do that. It can be a footnote to it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that.
Are there any other questions, discussion?
Oh, just one more comment. I contacted Jeff, the former president, and
Jeff Bowen or Camp?
Bowen. And he indicated that the items that he had he returned to CD10 and put them in the storage room that we had available to us there. So he doesn't know what happened to the stuff that was related to him on that list.
Okay, so that would be the scanner.
Yeah.
Got it. I've never seen that, and that was this, what we would call the CD10 closet. The space in CD10 was a big closet. I've never seen the scanner in the closet, but that doesn't mean I went into the closet a lot. So it's a missing item. I mean, in other words, it's also a scanner that was purchased quite expensively, but in 2013. So, you know. Anyway, the motion is to approve this report as presented. Teresa?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just want to be clear. Not only did we lose the items in the firehouse through a change of hands and through water damage, but we also lost all of the items that were stored in CD10 during the transition.
No. Just these two, the scanner and the 2 tablets, which I never actually saw at CD10. So it's a bit of a circle.
Okay, but if we have to file a police report, it won't, we know the exact items that we will have to identify.
Correct, but they might be 2 different circumstances.
Okay, thank you.
Which is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
All right, so we're ready to take the
Right.
roll?
Yeah, so the motion is to approve the agenda as presented.
The inventory report.
I'm so sorry. Yes, of course. Absolutely.
Alita is ineligible, Grace is ineligible. John?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Thank you. Greg?
Yes.
Michael?
I abstain. I have no knowledge of this situation.
Okay.
What?
Lisa is yes. Dennis?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Yes. Laura?
Yes.
Paul, is Paul still here? Paul?
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Paul. Charlie? Raheem?
Yes.
Dolores?
Yes.
Dorit? Dorit?
Oh, she left.
Okay.
She's gone.
Jasmine?
She's left.
Jasmine? Thank you. Okay, the motion passes.
Okay, the next item is a board member training report. I'm not sure if we have that, other than an update about that Gibson already made about we all have to take a new test this month.
I have went on the website and looked at Dunn's report, and everybody is up to date with the exception of who is it? One board member. I wrote it down somewhere.
Carlos?
Carlos Currick. He has not taken the ethics exam training.
Okay,
And if it goes on any longer, he's going to end up being suspended.
right. Okay, and he's not here. All right.
Oh, and the website hasn't been, the last time I looked, it hadn't been updated with regards to the anti-bias training. So I sent an email to the board members asking them to let me know if they have taken the training. And I think a couple of the board members notified me. So if you completed the training, I'm not aware of it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so essentially, the anti-bias training is in Cornerstone now. You will all note that they have sent each of us sometime in the last month or 6 weeks new logins for Cornerstone. I think you need to, if you don't have them, search your email for the word Cornerstone. And they're saying that once you're in Cornerstone, you will see the anti-bias training available to you. Okay.
How long does that take?
I don't know. I haven't taken it yet.
62 minutes.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
about an hour.
Okay. Thank you.
It's broken up into like 5 parts.
Okay,
And there's a test after each section.
okay.
Yes.
We like tests.
I
Yes.
So you can't just run it and go into the kitchen and make dinner is what you're telling us.
No.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Treasurer's report.
Ma-
Greg,
Madam-
do we,
Yes, we have a report. May I have,
I can give you hosting. Do we have an MER or are we moving on to
No.
item B?
we don't have an MER, but I want to brief people on the budget so they can know what money we have. So I'll use that time for that.
Sure.
Okay. Hold on a second. I'm sorry.
Now that Sweetheart has joined us.
Yes, I'm sorry. Come on, baby. Come on, come on. Come on.
Just at the time he's to speak.
She's
Right.
so cute.
It was,
Yep.
it was good for a while. Okay, I'm back. So I can share now.
Yes.
Okay, so we don't have an MER for the month. I'm sure it'll come out in a few days, but let me just use this time to give you an overview of the budget. Can anyone see this?
Yes.
Good. Okay, this is as of today. This is our overall budget. I want you to focus on a few things. Just remind you, the rollover money we put in miscellaneous expenses so that when we need it, we can use that for other items. Bring your attention down to the amount of money that we spent thus far, $6,421. And that is including some funds that are encumbered. And so we have a remaining of $20,220.03. And then when we go down to, and this is an area that we need to be aware of when we start saying we want to spend money in different areas. Like, for example, we're going to look at paying a photographer and a graphic designer for their services. We have placed in our planning, we placed that money in our budget. So we're not just saying spend money and not know what we have. So we have planned to we set aside money for that. We earmark money for that. We also have earmarked money for other areas that we may not use, like the fire station. So we need waiting for an update on that. And then we could see money that we spent on the website up to this date, money that we spent on the e-blast, money that we spent for our MPGs. And then I also have a sheet. Let me move this. For your enjoyment, in case you ever want to see the different categories we have where it's sorted by NPGs, money spent for office, and that's can be in different areas also, and money spent for outreach. This area here, this one area outreach really should be up in office, but it's there, so I'm just letting it sit there. But that's the overall budget presentation, the overview for now. And so as we are looking at the request for funds, we can, we can have that in mind that the money is there, or we can move money around. Any questions, anything you want to see again, or I will stop sharing. Any questions on that?
Thank you, Greg. I sort of missed a little piece. I'm assuming the money we had set aside for the B, C, and D and the funding requests, these are all up in the administrative or outreach budgets already, right?
Yeah, the money's there. Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I was showing you. So
Yeah, I know, but I'm like everybody else, I'm really tired and I missed it. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Dolores has her hand up.
Yes, what is in public storage?
What is in the facility?
Yeah, where you had budget line items for public storage. I thought everything was messed up from that other place. What do we have in And what are we paying for?
The items that were in the CD10 closet are in the public storage, and some of the outreach items are in the public storage. The only thing that we didn't keep, that we took from the CD10 closet that we didn't put in public storage are the electronic items, and they are under, they used to sit right next to me, but I put them up in the attic because it's taking up room here. But the electronics, I'm watching over them, but like the cabinet, the paper supplies that we have, the banners, our UNNC big old posters.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, those are things we have there.
All
It
right,
would be
thank
better
you.
if we could find a free place to store it, because that's just money going away. For a period of time, I kept it in my shed, but I needed my shed.
Right.
Your he shed instead of the she shed.
Yeah, I needed my she shed. Yep. For my tires. Yep. Yep.
Are there any other questions, or may we move on?
All right. So here we go. So shall I?
And so,
continue?
Greg, I think the next two are really very administrative. If we could,
You want me to do it? Or you want to do it?
yes, please.
Okay. All right. So as you can see from our presentation tonight, our photographer and our graphic designer, Josh and Michael, have done great work for us. And originally, when we acquired their services, we planned, the request was to have $3,000 for both of them, but we broke it up to give them $1,500 for last year, which well, theoretically we have already done. And then we want to pay them for the work that they've done into this year also. So and I'll just go one at a time. So the first one is that we want to approve the stipend of $1,500 to Joshua Johnson for $1,500, and that will cover the total amount that we had planned for his services for this year and last month.
Does that take a vote?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. I need to be.
So Greg moves. Who seconds?
Second.
I'm sorry, and that was Paula?
Dolores.
Dolores. Thank you, sorry.
Any discussion? Oh, actually, I have a question.
Yes.
Greg, do you know, or if Raheem is still on the call, will this fee to Joshua also include the photography that Raheem mentioned earlier about the board member photographs? Is this something separate?
It'll be included in that.
Okay, thank you.
And this is like, Greg used the word stipend, which is fine for the motion. It's like an honorarium, because I think he's working for $1 an hour, basically.
Yeah, we factually, we've kind of abused these people financially. Not that we did on purpose, but we have financially abused them. So
right.
Michael, you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just a little confused. How much did we pay them? $3,000?
$3,000.
But you said
We have not yet paid them the full $3,000. We authorized separate payments, two $3,000 amounts, one for the graphic designer and one for the photographer. We first authorized it without knowing who they would be. And then we reauthorized it after we knew who they would be. And then for budgeting purposes, we deferred the second half of the payments for each of them into this fiscal year. So they were paid, the first half, so $1,500 a piece, is in the fiscal year 2021, and the second payments are in this fiscal year 21-22.
so we're really paying them $6,000.
No,
Not each
No,
of them.
no.
they got 1,500. We're voting to give them another 1,500, which will be
Each or
3,000.
together? I'm just
3,000
confused. Each or together?
6,000 total, Michael.
So each
But
one
each-
got $1,500
Okay.
appointed from last year's funds, right?
No.
No, okay, I'm confused.
All right,
Michael, each of them will get $3,000 total, but there's a first payment from last year's funds. We don't need to vote on that. And there's a second payment from this year's funds. And it is a new board, obviously, but it's also was approved in our budget. So the money is there. It's just administrative. We have to do a BAC, board action certificate, for each of these amounts in order for them to be paid the amount we already had voted to pay them.
Oh, you know what? I see what Michael is asking. The two of them together, the total is 6,000.
6,000.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I was asking. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Can I?
They each got
continue
3.
my briefing? Yes, Madam President, if I think I can do it faster, but if you allow me, please.
Sure.
Okay, good. All right, Mike, any other questions on that?
No.
Okay, so the motion is presented and second. Are we ready to vote? Call the question.
Okay.
Item B.
Lolita is ineligible. Grace is ineligible. John,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Teresa's a yes. Dennis,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yep.
Dolores.
Yes.
Is Dorit still here?
No.
Okay, and Jasmine.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jasmine.
Oh, is she ineligible to vote?
I think she ought to be recusing.
Okay, Jasmine, do you want to recuse?
Sure.
Why?
Her brother is a photographer.
Oh, okay.
The motion still passes.
Okay, the next item, item C, follows the same vein of approving the 1,500 for our graphic designer. Again, Michael did a great presentation today for his work, and we want to authorize the $1,500 for this year for his services.
Is there a
This is the
second?
motion.
This time Paula seconds.
Sweet.
Okay.
so this-
There we go.
I have a question. I'm confused by all this. Didn't we just give them money?
No, Michael, we gave, there's two of them, two people.
Yes, I understand.
First, yeah, I'm not trying to be funny, but the first one was for Joshua. We gave him his $1,500 for this year. And the second motion is for Michael, who's the graphic designer. I keep on saying, yeah, graphic designer.
So this is the second half of the first.
The second half, yes.
Okay, I thought we had just done that. I thought this was an additional 1,500 for his
No,
presentation tonight.
We're not tipping them. We're just paying them. We're just paying the bill. Thank you,
We don't
Michael.
have tip money.
We don't have tip money. Nope.
Okay, we're ready to
Okay,
take
any
the
other
roll.
questions?
No, I'm good.
All right, sweet. Okay. Madam
I'll take-
Secretary?
I'll take the roll now.
Yes, Teresa, we're ready.
Okay, Lolita ineligible, Grace ineligible, John,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Teresa is also a yes, Dennis,
Yes.
Paula.
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Paul, oh no, I think Paul left.
Paul has left.
Charlie,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yes.
Dolores,
Yes.
Jasmine.
Yes.
Jasmine. And she can vote on this one, right, Laura?
Of course.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, the next item is a funding request. Request to approve up to $300 to purchase tote bags for the UNNC Outreach Committee. On our budget, just to recap, on that line, we have placed $1,000 for our planning. That is under section 200 outreach, under code for advertising bag pins. And so far, we have only used $15 from those funds. So we have funds on that line for this item. So I make a motion that we approve the $300 to purchase tote bags and UNC outreach committee use. And those are things that when we're out talking to people, we can give them a bag that advertises our organization.
Teresa has her hands up.
There's a motion on the floor. There needs to be.
We need a second.
Second,
Was that
One
Dolores?
quick question.
yes.
We have questions. ma'am.
Yeah, just one. How many bags
Sorry.
did we
Go
get?
ahead.
How many bags did we get?
It doesn't, the request does not say that the quantity, it just requests the dollar amount.
Yes, and we will try to purchase from local vendors, and we will try to get different quotes and make them affordable, make it worth our expense.
I think in any particular, I'm not sure who was first, but Teresa, since I see you.
Yes, thanks. I was just going to ask, when did this request come in? Because I attended the outreach committee meeting, and I don't remember you requesting any money, Lizzie. So I'm trying to figure out when this request came in.
This is because of the Ciclavia event. We don't have any time to prepare. It came out of the blue.
No,
We
no,
just-
I understand that. So you sent an email to Greg requesting the money?
No, this has been through Laura.
Okay, and then also, because it is a rush job, will these bags be printed in time and be available for Ciclavia?
They might not be printed. They might be orange plastic bags where
Right.
we insert a sticker, because we want to take the time with the branding, and we just don't have the time. This is coming in 2-3 weeks, so
Okay, I understand that. So we have stickers, or we're gonna order stickers?
we would have to make stickers.
And is that part of the $300?
We have, it's not,
We have
we
a
already,
printing budget.
I know, I helped approve that, Lizzie. I remember $500 for your photocopying, so that would come out of that?
Probably so.
No, that was for Xeroxing, for printing.
yes.
They would be
This-
printing
this-
stickers.
This is a
Our
separate one.
printing job.
This was a separate item that came through the executive committee to approve these bags.
No, I don't remember that, Dolores.
Okay, guys, wait, no back and forth, please. Teresa is accurate. We did not vote on this as a funding item at executive.
You're right.
Because-
I'm sorry. You're right. You're right.
Right.
You're right.
However, this is not out of the blue, because we've actually had been discussing this at outreach committee. We just hadn't brought forth a funding item. And this isn't a big funding item because the branding and logo was pending. And obviously it makes no sense to print lots and lots of bags with the old logo if we're going to have a new logo. So we, and I will just say personally, I will commit to printing on the Avery labels, whatever logo we want to. This does not need to be that part does not need to be a cost item. So this is a funding request just to purchase probably generic orange bags. Inexpensive, likely plastic, just something we can, if we're handing out postcards and pens, they have something to stick it into.
Quick question. Any idea of how many bags we're getting?
But we're not trying to do a lot of bags, Michael, because we're awaiting a more final branding and logo, so we can then order something more expansive and more, in our possession. We're trying to limit the number we're printing, not maximize it.
Well, how many bags do you think you can get with $300?
I mean, this is a.
Okay, Michael Mike is.
I'm just
I'm looking at
frustrated.
hands.
I'm just
Right.
frustrated because it doesn't look like there's any plan. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you, Grace.
Grace is showing a bag.
Yes, I
Oh.
am. It's about the size of a regular 8.5 by 11. Is this big enough? I'm happy to
Yes.
donate.
Is that what you're looking for, like gift bags? Is that what it is? Oh,
It's paper and it's not even plastic.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to find something we can stick our little stuff in that the folks at Ciclavia are most likely to then stick into the really cool LEDWP bags or Bureau of Sanitation bags that'll probably be at a table near us, because our experience at the last Ciclavia is that's what they did. They got the really cool bags from city departments, and then they stuck our bags inside those bags. Raheem, I know you're waiting patiently.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I don't think the new branding will be like there's gonna be a lot of planning around the new branding. Or else you guys are planning on putting the existing. So because I keep hearing you guys saying that you were waiting for the new branding, but that won't be on. It's not the plan to put the new branding on these bags, right?
No,
No.
not at all.
Like,
That's
I
the
kept
reason
hearing you guys say
we're.
that you were waiting for something, so I was confused.
No, the idea is not spend a lot of money, not get permanent, really great bags, just have something so we can stick our pens and the little postcards and the refrigerator magnets so people can put it in that, but they're likely to in turn put it in their backpack or in the city provided nicer bags.
Righty then.
So
Yeah,
how do we feel
yeah.
about Grace donating 100 green bags?
Well, she also has 250 white ones, but
Those lunch bags, are those brown ones, like the old brown lunch bags? Yes.
do the colors
Okay.
matter?
Well, I
Okay,
certainly don't
guys.
want that lime green if, that is,
Okay, guys, this is what I would hope could happen, which is we authorize the $300, but caveat with if we can find an alternative that doesn't cost us money, that we pursue that too. But what we cannot do is wait till the next meeting, because that's only 3 days before the event.
I'm okay with that.
Yes, we would like to have the flexibility of, because we will need bags, I mean, months from now, this coming, as things open up. So this wouldn't be money that we would not spend.
It won't be wasted, right?
I mean,
Can we
not
call for,
spent.
can we call for the question, please?
Yes.
Okay. Did I? Oh, I did already post it. Moved by Greg, seconded by Dolores, approved, I should say up to $300.
Lolita is Lolita still here?
I can't tell.
Yes, she is. Lolita's ineligible. Grace is ineligible.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, she's here.
Okay,
She's here.
thank you, Lolita. John,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Teresa is a no. Dennis,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yep.
Dolores,
Yes.
Jasmine.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Item E, Greg, we don't need to do anything on. We're not revising it. The potential partner for Sons Matter for the holiday toy giveaway does not wish to apply for, they don't wish to transfer the MPG. So that MPG can just sit there. Either they get the IRS letter or they don't. So we don't need to vote on this.
Okay, so as a steward in this area, if we don't receive the proper documents,
Yeah.
then I need to let the city know that we are going to cancel it because I have it in the save section. It's not officially submitted until we have the proper documents.
Yeah, I understand, but this agenda item was different. It was a possible
Understand.
revision to it to transfer it to their partner.
Understand.
Got it. And the
But-
partner does not wish to do that.
Okay.
So,
So there's a lifespan it stays in queue for a certain amount of time. And then once that time, at least by the next time that we meet, I need to say we need to cancel.
I understand. I understand what's pending is the IRS determination letter. I got it.
Okay, moving on. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, F. You want
Yeah. Well, here's what I'm gonna, I got an email from Melvin Canis, okay, whatever. Here, I feel like, Greg, so many different emails are flying in different directions. So yes. So Shauna said she's gonna cancel this. She did not do so. Cheryl said, I'm sorry, what we're talking about is F, a possible new BAC regarding Cal Greenworks Jefferson Boulevard Greenbelt project, including discussing the possibility of rescinding a previously awarded NPG. So we've had a series of meetings and email communications. Let me tell you what the most recent one was, because
Laura,
Greg has his hand up.
when you're throwing these names out, can you say who these people are? Because we got new board members.
I understand. And then I was, Greg, because you don't have the most recent email, Greg.
That's not my point, ma'am.
Okay.
I just want to give some background, okay? And then I'll tag out. Okay, so the issue with this is that we're calling into question whether the organization California Greenworks has the funds to execute the project. And the history of it is that when it came to light, or it came in question that they don't, in one of my conversations with the CEO of the organization. And from that, we have asked him to provide evidence that he has the funds. And it is my opinion that he does not have the funds, but that is just my opinion. From that, we stated that the board, the executive board, would follow protocol by talking to the city so that we can receive that guidance so that we're not sued for breach of contract. And this is where Laura's going to tag in, because we're asking them for information and guidance. And my counterpart at the city said that because we didn't have enough information and we didn't have a word from us, from UNNC to go forward, that she was going to cancel the NPG, which I said, fine. But that has not happened, as Laura stated. And then, so Laura's going to tag in because she has other information. But that's the background that I think people need to have.
Right.
To know
so the person who's in charge of the city clerk's funding team, the person on top, and is a person named Melvin Canis. And he has given me not a different instruction exactly, but sort of one. So he basically said, if we cancel the NPG, however, instruct that it be resubmitted to make it part of the current fiscal year, it would have to be earmarked for the prior purpose, which is the Greenbelt project on Jefferson Boulevard. It cannot be a rollover fund. It cannot, in other words, be allowed for other NC operations or function, only for that project, which is the Greenbelt on Jefferson Boulevard. I feel that this is such a complicated instruction that, and it's 10:38 at night. I don't know if we want to craft that or if we want to table it. I mean, in other words, it's not as simple as simply canceling the MPG. If we simply cancel the MPG, there's not the likelihood that the money will be deemed rollover funds and come back to us. We'd have to figure out what the project is exactly and earmark it to that. Trouble with that is the project is the planting of 25 trees and their watering and maintenance for 3 years. And the $7,000 we have won't cover it. So I don't know if we should on the fly craft that just perfect BAC where we keep the money tonight. The executive committee, the officers are all in favor of canceling this MPG, but it's just the nuance is we want to make sure we keep the money and keep the project. So Greg, I don't know, what is your pleasure? I mean, what do you want to, your hand is up.
Well, there's 3 issues, 2 maybe. One is canceling it. That's straightforward. Then the issue of where the money goes is really not up to us. It's just a request.
Yeah, what he's saying, if we do it that way, we won't get the funds back.
Okay, well.
Yeah, I know. I mean.
Yeah. Let me finish, please. So if he's given us an option of redesignating the service provider, that's great. That is great. Where we basically were saying we still want this project, but we're switching vendors. If they're saying we have that option, let's roll with that. So let's roll.
Right, but we don't have that vendor here in the room. I mean, in other words, yes, that would be a really good outcome, but I don't know that we can do it. It has to be one BAC, one action.
I don't see why that's true. Other than I'm not doubting what he said, but I don't see why that's true.
I don't see why anything that they're telling us is true, but I'm not supposed to say that while we're being recording.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, again, it's the proper thing to do is, and again, to be a good steward of the city's money is to cancel this MPG so that money doesn't go to this organization. Yeah, but if working with the city, which they will work with us, we can say, okay, well, the money, we canceled it, but you still have the money there somewhere in somebody's folder pocket, and we want to have the option of finding a new vendor, and I'm sure they will go for that.
Yes, Greg, they will, but I think we're supposed to identify it all in the single BAC.
No, that's two different. There's 2 actions.
Okay. Okay. I've got Paula's hand up, Dolores's hand up, and I want to point out it's 11:15.
It's past my bedtime.
I know, mine too at this point.
I get up at 4 o'clock.
Okay, Paula, Dolores. And again, the question is, should we do something tonight or just punt again?
No.
My motion is that we table.
You're saying to table.
I disagree.
Okay, and Dolores, wait a minute. Dolores and then Lizzie. Lizzie already did a thumbs up, but Dolores and Lizzie.
I thought we were going to have legal advice here at this meeting, because my main concern is being sued if we cancel the contract, and then the city would be liable. So we're getting a runaround here. I requested to have legal advice from the city attorney's office to find out where we stand. What happened with that?
Okay, and again, I had a very long meeting with the city attorney and with Gibson Nyambura from Dunn on this and 2 other matters, but on this. And essentially the city attorney indicated that the meeting and its contents are privileged, but that she would talk to the city clerk. Then I had a long meeting with the city clerk, not Shauna Dungo, who is our, what would her title be, Greg? She's a person we work with on a day-to-day basis.
I call her city clerk.
She's a city clerk, but she's our city clerk. She's the one who approves individual funding items.
Yes.
But the meeting ended up being primarily with the city clerk's contracts administrator, Shauna was very late, and because there was a horrible traffic accident on her way to work, not involving her, but she was stuck on the freeway. So she came in the last 5 minutes. So the city's contracts administrator said she would reach out directly to our NPG recipient and ask for all of the financial information, as was the direction we wanted to go after executive committee. So that was what she said she would do. Then Shauna sent Greg and I an email that was completely the opposite, stating that Shauna was just going to cancel the BAC, which Dolores would relieve us of, any legal issues because they would be the ones canceling it. That, however, has not happened. And the newest thing, I had asked Melvin to come to this meeting, as you also know, and he said no. And he gave us this directive that we have to do a BAC that essentially keeps the project alive, would need to, however we do it. But I'm very confused. Please don't misunderstand me. And my strong recommendation is we table this and just write it just so perfectly and share it with the clerk's office and the city attorney if we need to in advance, so we guarantee the retention of the money for this project on Jefferson Boulevard. That's my concern. I want to guarantee the money.
It did not answer my question.
I know that.
At executive committee, there was a request to have the city attorney come to our meeting, or the city attorney's representative, to advise us on the liability issue of canceling this contract. Did you contact them? And if you did, what was said?
Dolores, I
Yes?
just told you I had a really long meeting with the city attorney.
But all that stuff you just said, Laura, you told us weeks ago. So after you told us that, that's when I requested to have the city attorney or representative at this meeting. All that stuff you said before. That's why I asked for the legal advice. I don't want us to be liable. I don't want the city to be liable. Somebody needs to give us a straight answer.
So is your position that we should table this till we get that answer?
Dolores,
What?
would you be satisfied if we sent this back to executive and we have, and in executive, we work it out by having Laura get back to us, with,
Right again.
well,
Because this is not going to get solved tonight.
You know what?
Okay, guy.
Table it. Go ahead. Table it.
No, can we send it back to executive? And while it's in the executive, if nothing else, we can draft the language so then we can bring it back to the board.
Right.
Fine.
Okay.
I just don't want to get sued.
Hey, Dolores,
Nobody
you
does.
and me both, because it ends up being whoever is the leadership. Oh, right, you and me ending up in these depositions. So no, I don't want to be sued either. But for tonight, I mean, my key thing, aside from that, which is important, is we retain the money. I want us to be able to do this project, retain the money. So,
Okay.
Greg.
But you can wish in one hand and do something else in the other hand. We have no power over that. So.
Okay, but I think, okay.
Asking, wait a minute, let me finish, please, because you spoke for 15 minutes. I just want to. Our saying we want to retain the money, that is totally up to them. And
Hey, guys, I have somebody about to turn off the lights where I am.
Yes.
What does that
mean? We're not going to settle this tonight. What do we need to do to table it? Can we just say it?
I think the chair. I think the chair is allowed to table a matter. I mean, I went to some city
But you're
council
sending it
meeting.
back to executive, Laura. Can you just
Yes.
just say, I'm sending it back to executive? And then
Yes.
that will be in the
Okay,
minutes
then
of-
next item, please.
Okay.
Moving on.
Greg, are you able? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Are you?
Yes.
Are you able to skip G and H? We don't have any reimbursements or budget adjustments. Do we? I think we've just kind of done G more or less.
Yeah, we done G, and for H, I just need to ask, are there any reimbursements that people need? And say, are there any reimbursements anyone needs? Going once, going twice? No.
Okay.
Okay, and I gave you, and I presented the budget overview at the beginning, so we're good to go. Madam
Okay.
President, this includes the treasurer's report. Thank you for paying your taxes, and thank you for being good stewards of the city's money.
I'll cut it out. Go to the next item.
Yeah,
I'm
you just
done.
took
I'm
another
done, Madam
minute.
Vice President. I am done.
Okay,
Thank you.
Secretary's report, we have minutes to approve. Has everyone read the minutes? They kind of came in late. Has anyone read the minutes?
You just can't miss throwing somebody under the bus, Laura.
No. They came in from me. No, they came in late. I didn't send them out. Not that you brought them late. You were fine. I couldn't find them in the Google Drive. They came in late.
No, that's
Laura,
fine. It was
Laura.
my delay. So you want to share the screen? You want to share the screen?
Do
Or
I
do you
want
just
to,
wanna
or
do
do
it?
you want to?
I don't care. They're in there. They're in the Google Drive now, so you can share with me, or you can just do it.
I'm making a co-host so you can.
Okay.
Hey, also, I didn't have access to upload stuff. This is administrative thing.
Yeah, Greg, that was a mystery because when I was in there, your name is still there as one of the people, and I don't know how to share further than that. I think you have to refresh your own access. I mean, refresh your Google Drive account somehow. Because your little picture's in there. I'm just telling you.
It's my little baby picture, yeah.
Okay, the first one that's up is from the special meeting. Sorry, everybody. This is the one I clicked on first. So this is the special meeting that we had last week.
Sweet. Ready for a motion?
Yep.
I make a motion, we approve the special minutes. What's the date? Teresa, can you go up to the top?
October 26th.
Second,
October
And that's
26th.
Dolores.
Dolores.
Okay. And we can just do this by a raising of hands, Laura? Is that
Yes, absolutely.
Hands up.
Okay, and then I will share the second one.
All right.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Hands down.
Nope. Oh goodness, sorry, just a second. Let me just figure it out. Nope. I don't know how to get the other document, Laura, in that drive.
Yeah, well, here, I'll try sharing because I just have it. Where do I have it? Ugh. That wouldn't be what we want.
I have it.
Oh, you have it?
I have
Because okay, so I'm going to then stop my share. You go ahead.
Oh, I have a headache.
Is it coming up now? No. Okay, you're gonna have to
No.
do it more.
Okay.
Where's that?
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay. Sorry,
Wait.
everybody. I don't know how to get back to the Google Drive.
Got it. There we are.
Okay, there it is. So I think the next to the last item, I could not remember if there was any resolution or what we decided, and I was trying to look through our Zoom meetings, and I couldn't find the
Okay.
correct spot. Yeah, so I just put question marks. Does anybody remember? Or I can update this by looking in the,
Which item?
Oh,
Which item?
well, we voted, yeah, Teresa, we voted to give you money, didn't we?
oh,
Yes.
$110 and some cents
Yeah.
as a reimbursement.
$110.24. Yes.
yes, and I know we did the BAC for that, but I couldn't find it on the,
Yeah, we
I
gave you the
couldn't
money.
find it. So,
Yeah.
okay, so I
Yeah.
can go back and just listen, for the last 20 minutes of the meeting.
No, don't do that. I just send you a summary.
Yes, I know I have that, Greg, but I don't have the motion. I have the BAC and I have the one that Paul signed and that Laura signed, but I don't know where it was on the tape so I can accurately put it in. But at this point, I really don't care because it's so late. We can just approve these next time, or we can say approved with the amendment of.
Yeah, approved with the amendment of Teresa was reimbursed for
Yeah.
the hard drive.
Yeah,
I second.
thank you. Who was that again?
Paula.
It was Paula.
Okay, and who seconded?
No.
Paula
Paula.
seconded.
Yeah, I second.
But
Laura-
who first did?
Oh, I thought you were making the motion.
Yeah, I
Laura.
can move. I can move it.
Okay, Lizzie. Thank you,
first.
Lizzie.
Sure.
Lizzie
Okay.
first. Go, Lizzie first.
Okay, so I swear you guys, somebody's gonna turn off all the lights around me.
That's what you get from.
Okay, so let's go.
And his initials are DRR.
Are we raising hands?
My hand's
Can
raised.
everybody just raise their hand?
Because we need to go to bed, all of us, raising our hands.
I'm really gonna fix that drink.
Exactly. I there's some bourbon in the next room, I think.
You can't drink it, you gotta go.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that
We're
it?
done. We're done.
Okay.
We are done.
All right, everyone.
Well, it's been a pleasure. A pleasure.
Good night,
Thank you very
everyone.
much, John.
It's been a
Thank you,
pleasure.
John.
You guys be
Great
good.
night.
Take care.
Stay on this
You
board.
come say bye to good people. Come on, Luna.
Bye.
Love
Bye,
you.
Luna.
Stay on the board.
Luna.
Bye, Luna. Come on, say bye, Luna.
Bye, Lolita.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Night. Bye.
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 Okay, I'm ending the meeting, whoever's still here.
Good night.